He has non-Obamacare ACA-compliant plans that do not fund abortion. There's no enrollment period, and you don't have to pay for expensive extras like pediatric dentistry or maternity care. Contact Joyce at Dryden Camus Insurance Agency and start saving up to 60%. Call 877-695-0245. That's 877-695-0245, or just go to kddi-ins.com. Cut through the confusion and save money with Dryden Camus Insurance Agency, serving Missouri and Illinois. This is the answer. This is the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency. Just go to kddi-ins.com.
Common Sense Radio with Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please.
And good.
Don't fence me in.
Morning and happy Tuesday. Oh, it's going to be a fun day. Kurt Schlichter, who I've been after for a long time. If this guy talks as well as he writes, it's going to be awesome. I love great writers, and Schlichter's one of them. And let me tell you something. He is an amazing guy and funny. And especially when he goes after the Never Trumpers, this guy is on fire. But he's not for another 3.5 hours. I'm just warning you that he is not quite going to be on just yet, but he's going to be on at 9:35. Then at 7:20, we've got Judge Napolitano joining us. Then at 8:10, we've got Jimmy Hoff, the Gateway Pundit, and of course, all of your lovely phone calls, people, because I want to hear from you on the calltammy.com real estate listener line, 844-855-1380. So good morning this morning, everybody. Good morning. So we have good news. Heinz has come out with a mayo and ketchup mixture together for some reason. And that's the breaking news this morning. We're going to follow up on that. That's actually I'm going to hit on that because it's one of those things. It's kind of like the half paper towel. These companies should be firing these people coming up with these ideas to save people money, because if Heinz can sell one bottle of ketchup and one bottle of mayo separately, wouldn't that be better than mixing them together and make people buy it and mix it themselves? That's the way to go if you're really in the mode for profiting. That's all. I'm just goofing on that. But yeah, this morning also we have the situation with the. Where am I here? I'm trying to figure out where I am here on this TV screen. I know you're listening to the radio right now, but I'm trying to figure out where I am on the TV screen. Yeah, am I? There. I want to be there. This is where I want to be. I want to be there. I want to be where you are. I want to be where you are. Yeah, maybe you're right there. That's good. Perfect. I don't know. I'll figure it out. You guys are listening on the radio, so you don't care where I stand, do you? Not at all. So the thing I'm concerned about is this. Suddenly, there's an airline crash, and they're talking about shutting down a company's 737 fleet when we don't even know what caused the crash. The Boeing stock prices, and I am not a stockholder, so that's not the root of my issue here, because I would always be full disclosure for you. So this isn't because I have a personal interest in Boeing or because I have stock or whatever. But I found that Boeing took a real hit yesterday in the news, and people were almost willing the airlines and the FAA to ground the 737 as a result of these two crashes, which, by the way, to my knowledge, are very separate crashes. They're very separately, they happen separately under different circumstances. One set of circumstances was different than for that Lion aircraft, and the other one was different for this Ethiopian one. And so there isn't any consistency there, but everybody is like pounding the drum to ground these airlines, these planes, and that's most of Southwest Airlines' fleet. And the 737, that MAX 8, is a very reliable airplane. It's a good airplane. And you'd think that if there was something really wrong with it, you'd have more crashes than two. I don't know whether people ever. Here's what you ought to do to prove my point. Go on a app called Flight Tracker. Have you ever seen one of those flight tracking apps? Go on one of those, and or there's another app that shows, but it'll show you all the airplanes up in the sky. It'll show you all the airplanes up in the sky, and it'll give you a pretty good indication of just how prolific these airplanes are. It'll give you a really good indication of just how much these airplanes are flying. And believe me, if there was something wrong with the airplanes, you'd have a lot more crashes than we have had. And it's kind of amazing. You see how many planes are up in the sky. Even right now, it's 6:10 in the morning. Thousands of them crisscrossing the country. It's pretty amazing to watch. But you can see them all in real time, and you can zero in on one plane. But believe me, as far as I'm concerned, if this were really a real problem, they would have taken these out. There'd be more problems than there are right now, and there aren't. So I'm just concerned we're kind of in this mode now where we have gotten to the point where we are just freaking out about everything. And now even this is we're pursuing, and the news media is trying to force the FAA to make a decision they don't need to make, as far as I'm concerned. Margaret's on line 1. Good morning, Margaret. Thank you for calling the Tammy.com real estate listener line. How you doing, dear?
Okay, how are you?
I am fine, thank you. What's up?
I just called because I wanted to wish you today a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. That's nice of you.
I was going to sing. I want to sing happy birthday because last month you sang happy birthday to me on the other on RFA, and I loved it so much. I'm going to return the favor to you.
Oh, okay. So you're going to sing to me.
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. Well, let her rip, my dear.
Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jamie. Happy birthday to you.
Aw. You know what? Marilyn Monroe has nothing on you. Let me tell you.
Except on looks.
No, even that, Margaret. Thank you so much. That's very sweet of you to do. I really, that's really sweet. I got to tell you. Thank you.
And one more thing. I hope your leg gets better.
Oh yeah, okay. I me too. I think it will be. I got my butt kicked by that fence a while back, so I'm getting back there. But thank you, Margaret.
All right. Well, God bless you, sir.
God bless you too, and I appreciate you calling the show. Thank you, dear.
Thank you very much.
All right, see you, Margaret. Yeah, I had a house call last night. My friend Dr. Chris came by and gave me a tetanus shot. I'm doing all this stuff kind of late, I've been injured before and things have happened before and it just kind of repairs itself, but this took a little longer. It doesn't help that I'm at the gym everything's I figure it's going to it's going to get better, and it's getting better. That's just the way it is. But yeah, I got that tetanus shot. I put a picture of it up there on Facebook, right? Just house call Chris, squirting that tetanus, whatever the heck that is, into me, and I'm off to the races. I'm all better now. I'm cured. So also today, this morning, if you're waking up, we've got Pompeii. We're basically getting the heck out of Venezuela. That place is about to start on fire, and I think we're pretty much ready to kind of clear out of there altogether. But some of the few remaining people from the embassy staff down there have been evacuated, and things are just deteriorating very, very rapidly in Venezuela. And I think it's one of those situations where Pompeo's making the right decision because this thing is about to explode. I think they're still in the dark and everything else. Really happy also to wake up this morning to Tucker Carlson. Tucker is getting savaged, of course, by these left-wing jackasses at Media Matters and beyond. And these guys, what they do, and I've been through this before, is they just try, they're a bunch of fascists is what they are. They're a bunch of cheap shot-taking left-wing fascists who rely on weak people, weak corporations, weak companies to cave. They're just a bunch of basically a bunch of bullying mobsters who have no interest in the First Amendment and just want other opinions off the air. And the reason why Media Matters and these other groups go after Tucker Carlson is because he wipes the floor with the left every single day. He wipes the floor with the left every single show that he has. He humiliates the left as well they deserve. And so Media Matters nationally and all the left-wing kooks locally, this is what they do. And they depend on people to cave all the time. They think people are scared of them. And they picked the wrong guy to fight here in the formulation of Tucker Carlson, who went on, and apparently this is because of some comments he made on some morning radio show, the Bubba the Love Sponge or something like that, where he used some language that I really wouldn't use. I don't use, that I wouldn't, on a stage like that, use some of the language that he used, but he was just being jocular. He was being a guy, they were all commenting on stuff. And but nonetheless, it doesn't matter whether I would speak like that. And it doesn't matter whether people disagree with whatever Tucker Carlson said. It's no reason to somehow kick him off of Fox News or end his show. But Media Matters wants that to be the case. They want to get rid of him. Because, first of all, that's the other thing about the left compared to Tucker, and at the time they were trying to go after me at 97.1, is that we're smarter than they are. They listen to us and they get angry because they're dumb as a bag of hair. And so every time we open our mouths, we humiliate them. They feel bad. They feel dirty and dumb. And it angers them because deep down inside, they know they're wrong. And they also know they're unintelligent. That's why people lash out and call people racists all the time. That's why you have the majority of the Democrat Party still talking about the March on Selma and getting rid of airplanes because they don't think, they're stupid. And I realize sometimes that seems to be a cheap shot, to call people stupid, whatever. But clearly these people are not intelligent people. I mean, they know how to Google and they know how to cull information from Twitter or do whatever, but they're not really smart. And so that infuriates them when smarter people are on the air and talking to other smart people who are listening to them. It scares them because they have to get that voice off the air. They have to get that voice away from them. So Tucker goes on last night and says, I'm not doing this. I'm not. Nobody's caving to you, and I'm glad. I hope Fox News maintains that. And there may be some advertisers that leave, but like it was with me, that was not reported. Advertisers double down. They don't put up with this stuff. The good ones. They don't put up with this kind of garbage. And they'll double down and support people and prove their support instead of caving themselves. So that's what needs to happen is that common sense conservatives, real Americans who stand up for, who don't care, who don't want to erase another voice just because you disagree with it. Do I want to get Rachel mad? Do I wish Rachel Maddow was off the air? No. But you ask these left-wingers, and they want voices like mine or Tucker's or anybody else's, Laura's, Sean's, you name it, off. I'm not comparing myself to them, but you know what I mean. They want these voices out of there. They want them gone. That's the fascism of the left. That's the mob mentality of the left. So Tucker, I'm glad he stood up for that. We'll talk more about that. Oh, and the funny thing, too, coming up is Ilhan Omar. Remember what she said about Barack Obama? She's trying to erase that pretty fast. Boy, those comments are coming back to haunt her big time. And now she's backtracking and saying, well, you know, Trump's not human and Obama is. Like, yeah, good move, girl. Good job. So we're going to play that for you as well. We've got a ton of stuff to cover, plus your phone calls on the Tammy.com real estate listener line, 844-855-1380. I got some friends still calling in, including Henry. We'll get to that call in just a few. And then also make sure you can download the app at theanswerstl.com. Your phone calls are welcome. Yeah, and by the way, this Omar backtracking on Obama is interesting because let me tell you something. Between Tlaib and Omar and Ocasio-Cortez, if there was some place I could bet money and gamble on this thing, my money would be on all three of them defeated in primaries in 2020. There's no way the Democrat Party, if it has any sense, is going to keep these people around. Life is going to change for them, I think. We'll see. It's Common Sense Radio. We'll be back.
Live from the Arrowhead Building Supply Studio, this is Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Still looking good across the St. Louis area this morning. Eastbound 70, you've got the off-ramp closed to Madison. That'll be in place for most of this year. But as far as the morning commute goes, things are looking good. Southbound 170 looking all right between Forest Park and 6440. Delay free on the westbound side of 270, especially right near 170. Checking the jam cam southbound 270 at Manchester, not seeing any issues there. Also in decent shape on the westbound side of 6440 if you're moving between Timberlake Manor and Clarkson. This traffic report is sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Rick Pogue here with Arrowhead Building Supply, the region's #1 specialty exterior building supplier. Arrowhead has the widest range of exterior products, from the most economical and commodity items to our highest end outside elegance collection. If you need a contractor, Arrowhead supplies products to hundreds of the best contractors and builders in the business. Call us for a contractor referral and rest easy. The Arrowhead Cube Home Visualizer tool means you can upload an actual photo of your home and change it with just a touch of your finger. Now you can be 100% confident in your selections before they are installed in your home. Our product showrooms are the largest and most beautiful in the industry. We make it simple to experience a full range of siding, roofing, window, door, deck, and even stone options for your home or business. Check us out at arrowheadbuildingsupply.com or visit an Arrowhead showroom near you today in St. Peters, Missouri, Peebly, Missouri, and Fairview Heights, Illinois. Arrowhead Building Supply. Building supplies for building success. arrowheadbuildingsupply.com.
What's in store for your business this week at Staples?
A printer with more ink than you think.
The Epson EcoTank printer comes with up to 2 years of ink included, right in the box.
So you can print up to 2 years worth of reports and proposals. Just think about how much you'll save on ink.
And right now at Staples, save $100 on the Epson EcoTank 4750. Plus, when you trade in your old printer in store, you'll save an additional $50.
Staples, there's a whole lot in store.
Ends 3/16/19. See associate for details.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Glock days are back at Danny Dennis Sporting Goods in Fenton, Missouri, March 15th and 16th. Our Glock representative and a Glock armorer will be on site to answer questions or discuss your Glock firearm needs. The first 50 Glock handguns purchased will receive a free Glock range bag during the event. Sight upgrades are available for Glocks, and with a sight purchase, it can be installed on your Glock free of charge. Stop by and take advantage of the huge savings during this event on all Glock firearms, parts, and accessories. Friday and Saturday, March 15th and 16th, Denny Dennis Sporting Goods at 1 Gravois Road in Fenton. Give them a call at 636-349-9447. 636-349-9447. Glock days are back at Denny Dennis Sporting Goods in Fenton, Missouri, March 15th and 16th.
Denny Dennis Sporting Goods in Old Town Fenton is celebrating Glock Days. Like Denny Dennis on Facebook to get in on their specials.
America First with Sebastian Gorka. Tonight at 11. Now, more Common Sense Radio with Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Welcome back to Allman in the Morning. It's Common Sense Radio. Good morning this morning and happy Tuesday to all of you. My buddy Henry Davis on the line here. Line 1. What's going on, brother?
For he's a groovy dude. For he's a groovy dude. For he's a groovy dude. Which nobody can deny. That's right. Which nobody can deny. All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. J Money's a stand-up guy. Happy birthday, player.
Man, you know what? I know you just made that up as you went along, didn't you? You're amazing.
Well, you know, it's just off the dome.
I know.
Off the dome, but I was sitting up here going through my feed, and I saw you, and I said, whoa, today my man's birthday. I got to call him and wish him a happy birthday. I ain't going to keep you long. Just want to say I love you. Keep doing what you're doing. Happy birthday, brother. Can't wait to see you again, player.
All right, friend. You are the best. Henry Davis, thanks a ton, man. And as always, to be sung at by Henry Davis, I mean, there's Donald Trump and there's me. Each had Henry Davis singing to him. It's pretty amazing. I'm privileged. He's gone.
It's all good, player. You deserve it, man.
All right, buddy. Thanks a ton for calling in, man. Appreciate you.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to get to Tucker. How many times? I have 3 minutes. I'm glad to see him fighting. This is an important fight that we all need to be part of. And we went through it 9 months ago. You guys remember all that. I'm not going to dwell on it. But it's an example where if we don't stop these people in their tracks and fight them on the hill where they stand, we're just going to sit there and take it, and it's going to keep going. These people have to be shut down as they try to shut down other voices. But Tucker came out swinging last night.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. As anyone who's ever been caught in its gears can tell you, the great American outrage machine is a remarkable thing. One day you're having dinner with your family, imagining everything is fine. The next, your phone is exploding with calls from reporters. They read you snippets from a press release written by...
Yeah, this sounds so familiar, except nobody bothered to call me.
Democratic Party operatives. They demand to know how you could possibly have said something so awful and offensive. Do you have a statement on how immoral you are? It's a bewildering moment, especially when the quotes in question are more than a decade old. There's really not that much you can do to respond. It's pointless to try to explain how the words were spoken in jest or taken out of context, or in any case bear no resemblance to what you actually think or would want for the country. None of that matters. Nobody cares. You know the role you're required to play. You are a sinner begging the forgiveness of Twitter. This is a system built on deceit and enforced silence.
Oh, man. I'm listening to this, and I'm just reliving everything. I'm not really reliving it, but he has this thing just dead to rights. He has this thing nailed down. Do you have a comment on how immoral you are? I mean, it's so true. These people need to be shut down big time. And maybe not shut down as much as they just need to be fought. And Tucker Carlson's doing just that. And I'm really proud of him. I'm proud of Fox News, much like I'm proud of Salem Media for fighting back and saying, you know what? No. We know what our mission is. We know who our people are. We know that we have positive interests in this country at heart. And we know that intellectually we're high above the plane with these people. So we stand up and we fight. I'll play more of this because it's really good. As Tucker Carlson is really good himself, but this is a great bit here and inspiring beyond belief. Call the Tammy.com real estate listener line. It's 844-855-1380. This is Allman in the Morning, and this is Common Sense Radio.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. The FAA has not grounded the Boeing 737 MAX 8 jetliner, but a number of other countries have, following deadly crashes in Ethiopia and Indonesia. Also, more than a dozen airlines have stopped flying the plane, at least for now. To impeach or not to impeach? That question, the source of a growing rift within the Democratic ranks of Congress. Now, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has come out against the impeachment of President Trump. In Pelosi's words, he's just not worth it. Citing the deteriorating situation in Venezuela, the U.S. has announced it is withdrawing the last of its diplomatic staff members from that South American country. Stock futures in the red on Wall Street. Dow futures down about 109 points. NASDAQ futures off a fraction. S&P futures down 2 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Road's still looking good across our area this morning. No major problems, but watch for some road construction slowdown. Southbound 141, getting right near 6440 into about 44 at this point. Also going to see that road work a little bit later today. East and westbound 44, beginning right near Shrewsbury into 70. Looking all right. Southbound 170 as you pass by Ladue on the westbound side of 270. Checking the jam cam at 170. Issue free there. Southbound 270 rolls well as you pass by 44. And westbound 6440 delay free at 270. This traffic report is sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
Mostly cloudy skies today with a high of 54. A little rain this evening, otherwise considerable cloudiness with a low of 46. Cloudy and windy tomorrow with periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high 66. A passing shower tomorrow evening, otherwise partly cloudy, breezy and mild, the low 57. Windy Thursday with sunshine and patchy clouds, the high 64. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
When you listen to the Ed Martin movement, you never know who's going to drop in.
Kevin Sorbo on the phone.
Here's the deal. I know, Sean, it's not like we're going to hang out and go golfing together. I mean, people are starving for movies that have content, have value. So whatever.
So let me cut through that. So one is you've renounced Sean Hannity on the air here. You basically said Sean I don't know who he is. Sean who?
Tune in to the Ed Martin movement weekdays from 3 to 5 to find out who's dropping in next.
Buying the right window treatments for your home can make a huge difference. Should you use curtains, shades, shutters, or blinds? Get the best recommendation when you call Michael Proctor at Proctor Drapery. Michael has been serving our area since 1974 with the highest quality and value for custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. He's also a top-tier Hunter Douglas priority dealer and your choice for Norman Plantation shutters. Cut down on the risk of error. Contact Michael at ProctorDrapery.com. It's Proctor spelled like doctor.
While cleaning out the attic, I ran across my father's classic Winchester rifle. Wanted to give it to my son for his birthday, but I didn't know what it needed in order to be restored. So I took it to Razorback Armory for a cleaning and performance check. What a great birthday present it was. My son uses it and will pass it on to my grandson someday. I know that would make my father happy if he were here today. Restore your guns to the condition they deserve. Visit the pros at Razorback Armory in Des Peres, just east of 270 on Manchester. RazorbackArmory.com.
Hey, want to talk with Jamie? Call 844-855-1380. 844-855-1380. And interact with Common Sense Radio. This is Allman in the Morning.
When she makes these outrageous anti-Semite statements regarding Israel. Well, I don't know about you. Most of us, we're not asked. We don't immediately call for her to resign. I've actually never done that for anybody. I've never done that for anybody. In fact, I even in the worst moments of people's lives, I'll remember Maria Chappelle in the Dow, and she made that statement about President Trump and the assassination or something on Facebook. I was like, let the voters decide what happens to her. They're the ones who oversee her, not me, not Fox 2 News or the Post-Dispatch or a Republican lawmaker or a Democrat lawmaker. Leave it up to her constituents as to whether or not she survives the election. It's it's nobody else's prerogative to run somebody out of office any more than it is to run them out of a job, unless, of course, the people who are in the decision-making process are that's their decision. But it's worse when the decision-making process is based on the outrage of the mob, which is what Tucker Carlson was talking about. And again, Omar, there's no reason for me to defend her comments at all. But me not wanting her to resign isn't me defending her comments. It's me wanting to challenge her on her comments and have an intellectual discussion and also make fun of her. You know, like we do. And that's what we ought to do. We ought to just keep everything. I like to keep all those balls in play, bounce them around the room, hit them around like you're playing racquetball, and let's get going. It's been fun watching Omar melt down, and it'll be equally fun watching her run out of office during a primary. But until then, it's none of my business whether she's a congressperson or not. I care whether she's on a committee for Homeland Security, that's for sure. But boy, did you see over the weekend, I read the story about Omar and her comments about Barack Obama. And saying basically there's no difference between Republicans and Democrats, and Barack Obama was bad too, and played into the hands of so and so. I'm thinking, boy, that's not going to go over very well. It's kind of like when Ocasio-Cortez decided at a moment to challenge Nancy Pelosi and her speakership, and then suddenly a week later, she's like, well, actually, in hindsight, I don't think we need change right now. It's like, somebody got to her. And I think somebody got to Omar. Because let me tell you something. In truth, the only people who are going to protect Omar right now are the powerful Democrats. They basically still own her, and she knows it. So they're letting her kind of run around and much like you'd let a dog run around and wheedle on trees to mark their territory. And I'm not calling her a dog, by the way, so save the male, Media Matters. I'm just saying that's what it's like. You let your dog run out for a little while and do whatever they're doing, but your dog still has to come back into the house. And that's kind of what these three stooges are actually being allowed to do, is run around, air themselves out. And Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and Joe Biden and all the other white liberals are going, okay, go ahead and get your yah-yahs out, but you know exactly who you need to come back to. You know the roost you need to land back on, and that's what they do. But they're gradually losing a little bit more control. And what's happening is Omar's taking it further and further. So you give her an inch, she's taking a mile, and that's not going to work out really well for her, because at some point, even the liberal media isn't going to cover for her anymore. But this is her backtracking on the Obama statement that she made. She's caught outside of her office here.
Quick question. Can you set the record straight when it comes to the Politico interview? I just want to get your side of the story. Do you believe that Trump and Obama are the same, just different when it comes to their polishedness? We understand that you refute this Politico story. Could you just set the record straight so we get your side of it? Do you think that President Obama is the same as President Trump?
Absolutely not. That is silly to even think and equate the two. One is human, the other is...
Is it true that you just think that he's more
one is
polished?
human, the other is not? Well, that's silly to equate. She did equate the two. But the reality is, and she says President Trump is not human. That's her difference. So she has to absolutely has to go and pay the piper. She's got to put her coin in the jar for the left. And she was caught making some statement about Obama, and darn well the Democrat machine came and said, girl, at that point you're going a little too far and you need to make up for that one. And so she did, and then she got the opportunity to, but she was only because she was hammered by this reporter about it, who, by the way, wasn't really hammering her. He looked terrified of her, by the way, as all reporters seem to be. They're really kid-gloving these ladies. Phil is on line 2. Phil, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Jamie, thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
You know this Omar trying to walk back the comment saying, well, one is human, one is not.
Yeah.
Isn't that the very thing the Islamists say about the Jews, the Jewish people, is that they're not human? Isn't that what Hitler said about people, that they're not human, Jews? And you go down the list and name any of the fascists that say that same thing. So what is she equating? Since Trump has a Jewish son-in-law, a daughter that's turned Jewish, and Jewish grandchildren, they're not human? Is that what she's getting at?
Oh, I didn't even think about it. Yeah, I didn't think about it.
These people are fascist to the very end. They're communist. I'll continue to call them communist and fascist because that's what they are. And the Democratic Party is becoming the exact same thing.
Yeah, they seem to be, Phil. I have to tell you, the language. Here's the thing. That's the problem with Omar all along, is these people try to defend her, but and thanks for calling the show, Phil. I appreciate that. The people try to defend her, and they don't realize that all of her language that she uses, all the tropes that she brings up, just even the words she chooses are all built into her. I mean, even as Phil pointed out, the whole subhuman thing and that kind of stuff. I mean, very rarely do people normally talk about other people that way, as subhuman. I mean, for instance, I guess you could call a murderer or a dog abuser. I mean, somebody's subhuman, but generally we just don't really talk in that kind of language. We don't really talk about somebody being the devil, or we don't really say those kinds of things. And so keep in mind, her language is really programmed into her because of who she is. And you can't take that away. She can't hide from it. That's how individuals like her, that's how people in her realm talk to each other. So you really can't just simply say, oh, she misspoke. When you call somebody subhuman, as Phil points out, that's really an interesting catch on Phil's part. Because I really, first of all, it's factually incorrect. So she knows that. So you're really just saying that to dehumanize people. And that's actually how, and Phil's right, that's how you actually become a Hitler, is by dehumanizing people and making it easy. It's kind of how they are think it's okay to kill babies, because the babies really aren't human beings. They're just masses of material inside the womb. That's how they are able to. That's how they're able to kind of rationalize that kind of thing. Well, it's not really a baby. Why do you call it a baby? It's like, it is a baby. No, it's a fetus. It's like, okay, whatever you want. What you mean, a fetus with what? A blob with a heartbeat? Is that what that is? Yeah. Hey, Michael, you're on line one, buddy. What's going on, brother?
Hey, happy birthday. I've been doing it for years and years, and old Henry beat me to the punch.
Well, you're the best, Michael, and I've known you for a long, long time, brother.
Yeah, I just sent you an article by Victor David Hansen, a story. You've got to read it. It is quite interesting and prophetic.
Oh, okay. Well, good. I'll have to look at that.
All
you know,
right.
Victor David Hansen is a writer for Town Hall. And, you know, Salem Media, you probably sent me an article that was published on one of Salem Media's outlets, which is Town Hall, which is really
could have
cool.
been
Yeah.
by, Rip McIntosh. Yeah, it's excellent reading. He's got a new book out. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but it's supposed to be excellent. On Trump.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, and you know, that's the great thing. We have Victor David Hansen's phone number, so maybe I'll check out your article.
Ooh, you need to get him on the air and talk about. I've seen him interviewed a couple times about the book.
Yeah.
On Trump. I can't remember the name, but excellent.
Oh,
but
good.
Hey, really, the purpose of the call is to wish you happy birthday again.
All right, brother. You're the best, man. And
friend.
thank you so much,
Take
Michael.
care.
Yep. See you, buddy.
Be safe.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Victor David Hansen, we tried to reach out to him a while back about something, and we never heard from him. So maybe if we tell him we're going to sell some books for him, we'll get him on, Maxie, right? Isn't that how it works? Hey, come on to promote your book. Of course. They'll call you like right back right away. But he's a good guy, man. He's great. And the fact that Salem Media owns Town Hall and some of these other outlets, it makes us just that much easier to get them. Boy, where do we begin with the Three Stooges here? You have Omar, and then you have this Tlaib woman from Michigan. And these guys are all, you would think that, you know, if I'm Nancy, and far be it from me to defend the white liberal Democrat establishment, but you've got to imagine these people are apoplectic. All the work they've done, for instance, to take over the House, and this is what they're left with, these three mouthy, hateful women. I mean, it's really, and Ocasio-Cortez I wouldn't really describe, perhaps, I guess, as hateful. She just doesn't have any good ideas. But I mean, but this is what it must be infuriating to some of these people that someone like Ocasio-Cortez is becoming as world famous as she is. Because there's nothing there. I mean, I'm not trying to be, you know, insulting. I'm just saying that they're really, I mean, the Green Deal, it's not plausible. It's ridiculous. And then she comes out and, Ronald Reagan, racist? Come on. I'll have that for you, too. I mean, these people are running the party right now. Here's Tlaib on the, on what she thinks is going on with all of the questioning of Omar. Now, keep in mind, it's Omar who talks first, and then we respond. It's not us seeking her out because she's wearing a hijab or whatever. She's the one who's making the comments. Ocasio-Cortez is the one who is coming out with the Green Deal. Tlaib is the one who is calling everybody racist. So they're the ones who are speaking first. We're just speaking second. And now suddenly it's Islamophobia?
Representative Omar, why do you think people in your own party reacted so strongly against what she said?
You know, I'm trying to figure it out. It's just this past week, I feel, and I know this would be somewhat shocking for some, but I think Islamophobia is very much among the Democratic Party as well as the Republican Party. And I know that's hard for people to hear, but there's only been 4 members of Congress that are of Muslim faith. 3 of them currently serve in this institution. More of us need to get elected, but more of us need to understand as we come into this institution that I have a lot of work to do with my colleagues.
Yeah, more of us need to get elected. Nancy Pelosi goes like, no, that's not going to happen. If we have anything to do with it, more of you will not be elected. You just told us how little we want more of you to be elected. I'm not saying that a Muslim should not be a congressperson. I'm just telling you that if that's what we're going to get, where automatically your mere existence makes everybody else Islamophobic, there's a lot of people out there, just normal, reasonable people, who are going to say, no thanks to that. That's okay. Well, I think we're going to take a pass here because that's really what Omar and Tlaib are doing right now. They're claiming that their mere existence, because they happen to be Muslim, prevents any kind of criticism of their policies or their words. And any kind of criticism of their policies or words is Islamophobic. When the reality is, again, I've told you before, talk to Rand Paul, talk to anybody else. People have had reasonable questions about U.S. policy as it relates to Israel. And whether or not we are aiding and abetting trouble or what. Those questions have always been asked reasonably, without talking about all about the Benjamins and how Allah must save us from the evil of Israel. I think you know what the distinction is there. Meanwhile, on other Democratic fronts, you remember that Elizabeth Warren talked about breaking up Facebook. Well, suddenly Facebook decided, we aren't going to allow that on Facebook. They took it off. So we're going to follow up on that and your phone calls on the calltammy.com real estate listener line, 844-855-1380. It's Common Sense Radio.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Roads in decent shape this morning and traffic moving well and at the posted speeds. No major problems if you're stepping out the door early on today. Eastbound 6440 moving well between Lindbergh and Clayton. Also delay-free 170 through Laclede Station. Trouble-free on the westbound side of 6440 between 170 and 270. The westbound side of 70 rolls incident-free between Bermuda and 5th Street. Also looking good on the northbound side of 170, especially checking the jam cam right near Ladue. Traffic volume remains light. This traffic report is sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Business owners, self-employed, part-time employees, are you struggling to pay your bills because you no longer can afford your health insurance? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. With Obamacare premiums skyrocketing, higher deductibles, and shrinking networks, let me introduce you to Dryden Camus Insurance Agency as the answer, the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency has non-Obamacare ACA-compliant plans that do not fund abortion. There's no enrollment period, and you don't have to pay for expensive extras like pediatric dentistry or maternity care. Contact Joyce at Dryden Camus Insurance Agency and start saving up to 60%. Call 877-695-0245. That's 877-695-0245, or just go to kddi-ins.com. Cut through the confusion and save money with Dryden Camus Insurance Agency, serving Missouri and Illinois. This is the answer. This is the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency. Just go to kddi-ins.com.
Did you know that every dollar you put into a piece of real estate makes you money 5 ways? Cash flow, money in your pocket each month. Equity Capture, the thousands of dollars you create when you have the right team and buy the right property using the right map. Appreciation, real estate doubles in value about every 20 years. Equity Buildup, renters pay down your mortgage each month. And finally, the Tax Advantage. We pay almost no taxes on our cash flow and capital gains. These are the 5 ways we make money in real estate, which is why real estate accounts for more millionaires in the world today than any other investment vehicle. You should have some real estate in your portfolio. To learn how, attend one of our free workshops. Call 866-971-8970 or go to 5waysweMakeMoney.com and register for the next available workshop. That's 866-971-8970 or go to 5waysweMakeMoney.com.
I regularly hear stories of companies cutting the commissions of their outside salespeople. Has that happened to you? Or maybe you've had accounts taken from you and given to another salesperson to level the playing field. I've never understood those who penalize top sellers when they've become too successful. If you're a good salesperson, especially if you're in media sales, then I want to talk to you. I'm Lori Vernier, local sales manager for Salem STL Radio. I believe in the work I'm doing, but more importantly, this company believes in its people. Last year, Salem Media Group, our parent company, was voted one of the national best and brightest companies to work for. And for the past 2 years, we were voted a great place to work by our employees. If you'd like to join my sales team, drop me an email at jobs@salemstl.com. That's jobs@salemstl.com.
This station is owned and operated by Salem Media Group and is an equal opportunity employer.
KXFM, St. Louis, K287BY, St. Louis.
Rick Pogue here with Arrowhead Building Supply, the region's #1 specialty exterior building supplier. Arrowhead has the widest range of exterior products, from the most economical and commodity items to our highest end outside elegance collection. If you need a contractor, Arrowhead supplies products to hundreds of the best contractors and builders in the business. Call us for a contractor referral and rest easy. The Arrowhead Cube home visualizer tool means you can upload an actual photo of your home and change it with just a touch of your finger. Now you can be 100% confident in your selections before they are installed in your home. Our product showrooms are the largest and most beautiful in the industry. We make it simple to experience a full range of siding, roofing, window, door, deck, and even stone options for your home or business. Check us out at arrowheadbuildingsupply.com or visit an Arrowhead showroom near you today in St. Peters, Missouri, Peebly, Missouri, and Fairview Heights, Illinois. Arrowhead Building Supply. Building supplies for building success. arrowheadbuildingsupply.com.
Listen to Allman in the Morning with Alexa. Wake up and say, Alexa, play The Answer St. Louis. Now, back to Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Just about 20 minutes, we've got Judge Napolitano coming in about 7:20 or so. Going to talk to him about maybe the Jesse Smollett story. He's got some other things in the hopper that are in the legal realm, so we'll follow up on that. Also, as you're waking up this morning, Hillary Clinton is caught in yet another lie. This time, some statements she made in Selma, where if you're a white liberal, you're going down to Selma just to lie. Basically, make things up about history and race, and Hillary did that. She was even called out by the Washington Post, but very few people are paying attention to that. Also, going to have Jimmy Hoff, the Gateway Pundit, on at 8:10, and then Kurt Schlichter, who I've been after for a long time, is going to be on with us at 9:35. So we're going to have that going for us, and I love this guy. I love his writing, and he has a recent article on why never Trumpers will never shut up. I don't know whether you guys caught what some of them tried to do, this Charlie Sykes character in Wisconsin. Now he's with the Bulwark, which is where Bill Kristol is, and these people, it's unbelievable. They just will never go away. And so they did something at CPAC where they sent like this left-wing pro-abortion correspondent there to tussle with all these pro-lifers, because their real goal is just simply to shame and humiliate the conservatives and Republicans because they don't want them to win anymore. Because if they stop winning, then suddenly Bill Kristol becomes another reliable expert who can go on and attack the left, which is kind of that's how these people sell books. And they didn't want President Trump elected because you can't sell a book on how your rights are being infringed and your guns are going to be taken away and the sky is falling if Trump is elected. And that's why they didn't want him. A lot of conservatives, Glenn Beck, for instance, is a perfect example of that. He had some books ready to go, and you can't sell books when you don't have your declared enemy around that you base the book on. Doesn't work that way. So you campaign against the person who will keep your declared enemy out, because after all, you have sales to make. It's kind of that simple. You guys didn't know that, did you? Yeah, that's how it all worked. A lot of people were dependent on Hillary winning. And it wasn't because they cared about the future of the country. It was because they cared about the future of their pocketbooks. We'll explain more of that. And yeah, Tucker Carlson continues to fight back. We'll have that too. This is Allman in the Morning, and it's Common Sense Radio.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. There is speculation an automated anti-stall system may have contributed to this week's crash of a Boeing 737 MAX 8 jetliner in Ethiopia, as well as a crash of another of the planes in Indonesia in October. The FAA says it expects Boeing will soon complete safety upgrades to the system. USC aviation safety expert Thomas Anthony expects investigators to uncover several reasons for the Ethiopia disaster.
It's always more than one. It's never one thing. It's always a multiple combination of factors that lead to a catastrophic accident like this. And so that is what we can expect. Multiple factors.
A number of countries, including Australia and China, have grounded the plane. Close to 24 airlines not flying the MAX 8, at least for now. The plane is still in the air in the U.S. The U.S. withdrawing the last of its staff from its embassy in Venezuela.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced a decision late Monday night, citing the deteriorating situation in Venezuela. He says the remaining diplomats will be removed by the end of the week. Venezuela is struggling to restore electricity after 4 days of blackouts around the country. It also has a deepening political crisis. The U.S. has led an international effort to oust Socialist President Nicolas Maduro and replace him with opposition leader Juan Guaido. I'm Mike Hempen.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has come out against the impeachment of President Trump, and that put her at odds with some of her fellow congressional Democrats. Pelosi tells the Washington Post that impeachment would divide the country and would be unwise unless there's something so compelling and overwhelming. She says it's just not worth it. On Wall Street, stock futures mixed this morning. Right now, Dow futures are down about 87 points. NASDAQ futures 9 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Starting to see a few more vehicles across our area roadways as traffic volume gets on the rise, working our way through our Tuesday morning commute. Northbound 270 starting to slow up between 55 and Manchester. Southbound still incident-free. Westbound 270 looking good right near Lindbergh. Northbound 170 problem-free at Ladue. Southbound 170 looking all right as you pass by St. Charles Rock. Meanwhile, the westbound side of 6440 delay-free in between 170 and 270 early on today. This traffic report is sponsored by Compassion International. Right now, there's a child living in extreme poverty with no future and no hope. But you can bring hope when you become a Compassion International sponsor. Just text the word child to 83393 and sponsor a child right now. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
Mostly cloudy skies today with a high of 54. A little rain this evening, otherwise considerable cloudiness with a low of 46. Cloudy and windy tomorrow with periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high 66. A passing shower tomorrow evening, otherwise partly cloudy, breezy, and mild, the low 57. Windy Thursday with sunshine and patchy clouds, the high 64. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Dana Lash.
This is where some people try to hit capitalism, and they try to say capitalism removes this social welfare net. That's not capitalism that is responsible for it. It's selfishness. That's the problem. I think that when you are blessed through that, you bless other people, because that's what I think you're supposed to do. The reason that we are in the position that we are is because people don't do that. This is not something that you can mandate through the government.
The Dana Show.
Weekdays at 1 on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Do you consider yourself as the expert in your industry? Do others in the community consider you to be the expert in your line of business? There's an affordable way to position your company as the expert. I'm Lori Vernier, Sales Manager for 1380 AM The Answer and Salem Media St. Louis. Let us help you bring your brand to life. You know your business, and we know how to build an effective and engaging radio show with both on-air and online distribution. Grow your business by enhancing your credibility and branding yourself as the market expert in your field, positioning you above your competitors. Let's work together to help make you the expert St. Louisans turn to for information in your industry. Contact me, Lori Vernier, at theanswerstl.com, and we can discuss bringing your brand to life with your own radio program.
If you love radio as much as we do, then why don't you join us by having your own show? Just go to theanswerstl.com and click Contact Us at the bottom of the page.
This station owned and operated by Salem Media Group.
Common Sense Radio with Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday to all of you. In just about 15 minutes or so, we're going to have Judge Napolitano on. And then about 8:10, we've got Jimmy Hoff, the Gateway Pundit, Kurt Schlichter coming on about 9:35, and tons of frivolity for you in the meantime, including a Hillary lie that's been called out. Oh, I'm sorry, no, it hasn't been called out. Only Fox News, and in fact, the Washington Post wound up reporting it as well, that Hillary, of course, no surprise to any of you, lied while she was in Selma about what happened in Wisconsin. This woman will not in any way, shape, or form own up to the fact that she was a terrible candidate, that she didn't warm up to the American people, and in fact went the opposite direction by calling her opponent's voters deplorable. And so Democrats should stop giving her a pass on this and call a spade and call this what it is, and that she was a terrible candidate. And you know what? Even when the Washington Post is even fact-checking you about voters being turned away from the polls over skin color, which is what she claimed. I have it for you right here. At that point, you know you're living in your own little mystical fantasy world where you're blaming everybody but yourself. And that's not a good thing. But Fox News covered it, and actually what happened is the Washington Post gave her Pinocchios, but I think it was only online. It didn't actually appear in the actual printed version of the paper. It's how these people play games. It's really weird. But Fox News covered it.
I was the first person who ran for president without the protection of the Voting Rights Act, and I will
Why does she talk like that? She talk like what is she doing? Whenever she talks to black people, like in black churches, she kind of talks like she's black. It's like, you're not black, Hillary. I don't feel no ways tired. It's like, girl. Stop. I mean, and you know what? It's common for people, sometimes when they're in different groups and things to talk in different ways. I get all that. I mean, people just do. They adopt different kinds of, formulas. And my dad, when I'd travel around with my dad, we'd go down to the South or something, and we'd be at a gas station. He'd talk to some guy. He had a different kind of act. I get it, but but it's weird when she does when she does her speeches and she's what are you? Who are you? Anyway, let's go back to that.
ran for president without the protection of the Voting Rights Act. And I will tell you, it makes a really big difference. It made a difference in Wisconsin, where the best studies that have been done said somewhere between 40 and 80,000 people were turned away from the polls because of the color of their skin. I mean, that is because of their age.
That is a bald-faced lie. That is a bald-faced, shameless lie that she's telling there. And even the guy who wrote the study's like, no, I didn't say I covered 2 counties, and those people weren't turned away at all because of skin color or anything like that. In fact, there were people who were deterred because of a voter ID thing. But that's it. So Martha McCallum,
without the protection of the Voter Rights Act. So what changed, and why did she not run under that protection?
Well, I think it's important to point out that statement is wildly inaccurate. And I'm guessing what she's referring to.
Martha McCallum's acting like it's true. And this Jessica First Johnson, who was from she's a campaign finance and election lawyer, says that actually, Martha, that actually is not true. What you're
subject
thinking
to a
is true.
pre-clearance requirement by the federal government before making any changes to their voting laws. Whether that pre-clearance would stand, the Supreme Court ruled that the criteria had been outdated. It hadn't been revised since 1975. So the Supreme Court said, the Voting Rights Act, I think Roberts in his actual opinion said, it is responsible for really protecting the right to vote here, for making sure that there aren't any discriminatory actions that take place with respect to the right to vote. But this criteria, it's outdated. We can't rely on the things that had happened in the past when we're talking about over 40 years ago. So they said we need to go back and look at that criteria. And in the interim, the pre-clearance provision will be invalidated. So she's still very much running, she did in 2016, under the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act makes sure that there aren't any discriminatory actions with respect to voting. It's a very broad provision. Section 3 actually allows a bailing in of jurisdictions.
So anyway, Hillary's being drowned in facts, and she can't recover from that big fat lie that she told to these people. And this is one of the things where it's more than just an indication that she is unaccepting of her fate and of what happened to her. We're getting to a bigger problem that I believe the left, and particularly white liberals, have, and that is that they try to scare people unnecessarily. And I believe that oftentimes this whole race thing and the idea that you're going to get lynched if you don't watch out and you make the wrong turn, you're going to get denied the right to vote. These are all things that they make up to keep blacks afraid. And sometimes it's the blacks themselves, the black leaders, like a Sharpton, for instance. He makes money by scaring black people all the time. He makes money by thinking that everybody's a Jesse Smollett who's going to have, be accosted by MAGA hat wearing racists who are going to put ropes around their neck. We're going to return to lynching. It's like, no, we're not. None of that is happening. But that's how they keep people voting for them, by scaring them and tricking them into believing that if they don't vote for Hillary Clinton or they don't vote for a white liberal or Nancy Pelosi or a Democrat, that somehow the Republicans are going to swoop in and suddenly enslave them on their plantations. It's like, no, that's not happening. But that's why Hillary lies like this, because she knows it works. And white liberal Democrats in the media, they know that works. It keeps people agitated and edgy and afraid. And when you're agitated, edgy, and afraid, you tend to grab on to anybody who's ultimately going to save you. As long as you insinuate there's an impending catastrophe, then they'll cling to you. Now, people will say, yeah, but didn't Trump do that with the blue-collar workers? Not really. He didn't scare them. He was stating the facts about what was going on with their economies. What about the blacks in Detroit? Same thing. When he said, what do you have to lose, he meant it. That wasn't a bad statement for him to make to the black community there, because so far they had the options they chose have not worked. It's really simple. I just want to hear her lie again.
ID law, and it was probably.
No, I want to hear Hillary lie again.
It makes a really big difference. It made a difference in Wisconsin, where the best studies that have been done said somewhere between 40 and 80,000 people were turned away from the polls because of the color of their skin.
What a liar. And she thinks that these people, they all believe her. Yeah, that's right. Because the color of their skin. That's right. She's like the female version of the Music Man. Oh, that's right, people. You got trouble. Trouble, trouble, trouble. If you don't elect me, the town's gonna go south. Yeah, that's right. She's the music woman. Just one more time, then I'll let it go. I just want to hear it.
I was the first person who ran for president without the protection of the Voting Rights Act, and I will tell you, it makes a really big difference.
Mm-hmm.
It made a difference in Wisconsin, where the best studies that have been done said somewhere between 40 and 80,000 people were turned away from the polls because of the color of their skin.
I love how she
because of their.
I love how she pauses too, just to really scare them. They were turned away from the polls because of the color of their skin. All right, that's right. Woo! Yeah, I mean, it's just like, boy, it just lathers everybody up. Yes, they're turned away because of the color. Then they were taken off into the woods and lynched. Yeah, that's right. That's right. The crosses were burning all over Wisconsin. Right. Weren't they? Yes, they were, Hillary. That's why people didn't vote for me. Because everybody's racist. Yeah. I'm glad she was caught, though. And the Washington Post, though, when they do things like this, it's weird how the media, even when they're on to something, they want to be honest, but they just can't be honest. It's not enough for them to they'll print it in the online version, but won't put it in the version you buy at the newsstand. For some reason, they can't just give it all. They have to kind of be halfway. Even when they're busting their own people, they have to be halfway. They can't be honest about it, which is mildly infuriating because you just wish everything was fair. I mean, Fox News they'll report both sides of a story. But that makes them some right-wing crazy network, and unfortunately, the Washington Post is afraid of crossing the Democrat establishment. Much like when Omar was talking about the lack of a difference between Republicans and Democrats, and that Obama wasn't too much different than some of the other people out there, she quickly had to retract that one and go back on it. So we've got a lot coming up here. I'm gonna delve back into the Tucker Carlson bit. Really, really happy that he went off on Media Matters last night and is standing tall. These people have messed with the wrong guy, and I'm really glad that they finally are getting theirs, because they're used to people bowing, and they're used to people caving, and they're used to people fleeing and running away and putting their tail between their legs and resigning and this and that. And that's not happening this time with Tucker. And again, I'm not defending necessarily his language, and he isn't either, from 10 years ago. But nonetheless, that's no reason, and the only reason they care about his language, which is language they probably use on a regular basis with each other. The only reason they really care is because Tucker Carlson is on TV every night wiping the floor with their left-wing lunacy. So that's why they care. They want him off the air, but he's not going anywhere. The calltammy.com real estate listener line, 844-855-1380. We are live here in the Arrowhead Building Supply Studios, so thank you to Arrowhead for that. And Judge Napolitano is straight ahead here on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer. This is Allman in the Morning.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
A bit of an uptick in traffic volume as we roll through our Tuesday morning commute. Northbound 270, got some heavier delays developing right near Tesson Ferry through to Manchester. Watch for some brake lights popping on the westbound side of 270. Things start to slow up right near 367 into West Florissant. On the westbound side of 64, we got some minor slowdowns right near 15th Street. Westbound 6440 getting cramped between Hampton and Big Bend. On the eastbound side, not seeing any big-time delays in between 170 and Laclede Station. Everything else still looking good shape. This traffic report is sponsored by Think It Up. Think It Up's a new initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Boy, I got to tell you, love Michael Proctor. Tomorrow he's coming in to the studio here, and he is going to be gracing us with a brand new groovy motorized shade. And he calls them the James Bond shades because that's exactly how they operate, with the push of a button. And you too could be a James Bond with the motorized shades from Michael Proctor. They're beautiful. You can motorize any kind of shade you want to. Depending on what colors you want, depending on what kind of fabric you want, depending on what kind of shades you want, he has it for you, and he'll be able to go ahead and get it right to you. And he is the one who is the installer. He is the one who's going to make it all happen for you. He has all the hardware, and it doesn't matter what you need. Do you want something really cool and groovy for your dining room? Maybe a very rich-looking fabric that you saw in Southern Living magazine, whatever it happens to be. You see something you like somewhere and you want it, Michael will get it for you pronto. And he has his mobile design unit, so he'll come right to your doorstep, and he'll even come to your doorstep on a Sunday. Doesn't matter. It's all about convenience for you and great pricing for you. He doesn't compete with Home Depot. He competes with some of the higher-end guys out there, so nobody beats him in value, and nobody beats him in the quality of his window treatments. He's got the Norman shutters. These are beautiful shutters, any kind of blade width you want. And he's an interior designer, so he'll come in and help you make a decision as to what you think is best or for your home. And some people just need somebody to help them out to make a decision on colors, patterns, whatever. Michael has a great eye. He's been doing this for upwards of 40 years, and he is a great guy. One of you, just letting you know. So for all your window treatments, go to Michael Proctor. Proctor spelled like doctor, proctordrapery.com.
Glock Days are back at Danny Dennis Sporting Goods in Fenton, Missouri, March 15th and 16th. Our Glock representative and a Glock armorer will be on site to answer questions or discuss your Glock firearm needs. The first 50 Glock handguns purchased will receive a free Glock range bag during the event. Sight upgrades are available for Glocks, and with a sight purchase, it can be installed on your Glock free of charge. Stop by and take advantage of the huge savings during this event on all Glock firearms, parts, and accessories. Friday and Saturday, March 15th and 16th, Denny Dennis Sporting Goods at 1 Gravois Road in Fenton. Give them a call at 636-349-9447. 636-349-9447. Glock Days are back at Denny Dennis Sporting Goods in Fenton, Missouri, March 15th and 16th.
Denny Dennis Sporting Goods in Old Town Fenton is celebrating Glock Days. Like Denny Dennis on Facebook to get in on their specials.
Are you looking for your dream home, but it doesn't seem to exist? You've tried to figure it out on your own, but don't know what step to take next? Don't worry. I'm Tammy, owner of Tammy Mitchell Hines & Company, and my team and I are ready to help ease that stress. My team serves Monroe, St. Clair, and Madison counties in Illinois. So go to calltammy.com to set up your stress-free appointment today. Give me an idea of what you're looking for, and we will do the rest. If you buy or sell a house with me, you can use my moving truck for free. Just go to calltammy.com.
Hey, don't just listen to Allman in the Morning. See the show at theanswerstl.com. Now, more Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
All right here, back at Allman in the Morning. It's Common Sense Radio, and let's get to the man and the legend. His name.
I know to you, I may look
It's
old.
Judge
Hope this statement ain't too bold, but here comes the judge.
Judge Napolitano, man, you have been working hard. I'm seeing you all over the TV. What's going on with you, my friend? How you doing?
I'm well, Jamie. How are you?
Doing great. I mean, things are just flying here, and I'm so glad that you're with me now on terrestrial radio, like you were when I was back just on Facebook and the stream. And so we're filling out all the blanks, so nobody can escape us.
You know, I hear a bounce in your step, or a sense of comfort in your voice that I haven't heard since the old days. So I'm very happy, Jamie. As your friend as well as your fan, it makes me happy to hear that.
Well, thank you so much, Judge. It's a privilege and to have you on and with me for as long as you have been with me. So what's on your mind this morning?
What snowstorm 100 years ago.
I know. I'll never forget that. And you came into the studio, and it was just a fun time, and the rest was history in terms of our fabulous friendship that I'm definitely enjoying on a regular basis.
Cemented in no small measure by a prince of the church residing in Rome, the government in waiting.
Yeah. And have you been in contact with him, by the way, Cardinal Burke?
We're speaking of Raymond Leo Cardinal Burke. I last was in contact with him about 8 months ago to tell him I was going to be in Rome, and he answered by saying, I'm in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I wish I could see him, but I won't be back to Rome till Labor Day. Who the heck wants to be in Rome in August, he said.
I know. That was the same answer I got when I emailed him and contacted him because I was in Italy over the summer and thought maybe he'd be there. But no, he was in the cool climes of La Crosse. So, hey, what do you think's going to happen? This Covington lawsuit business is very interesting to me because I know libel is difficult to prove. What is Covington up against when they sue someone like CNN for $250 million?
I have been the skunk at the garden party on this, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. I start by saying that the lawyer in this case is very highly regarded, justly well respected, and one of the few lawyers in the country who represents plaintiffs in libel cases and does so successfully. Nevertheless, I believe this is an ill-advised litigation. I've said it to my clients around here, don't rejoice because the defendants are the Washington Post and CNN, because the principle of law is the same, and that arrow that is pointed at them can be pointed at us, at anybody in the media. The First Amendment requires wiggle room. It allows the media occasionally to make some mistakes. If it didn't, then the media would be afraid to report events as it understands them, and it would be afraid to express opinions. The president famously wants the right to sue people who criticize him. That, of course, would be absolutely antithetical to the First Amendment. Now, at common law, that is, where there is no statute, a 16-year-old child does not have a public reputation. So there's nothing. If it doesn't exist, it can't be impaired. I would also argue that the rigors that a plaintiff in a libel case goes through, the intrusion into everything that has made up that person, is so severe, it may actually impair the welfare of a child, and I would advise against this litigation. Where it's going to go, I don't know. How it's going to end, probably with some sort of a settlement. Nobody would want a trial in this case. Parents wouldn't want the boy to be cross-examined, and the media doesn't want itself to be on trial. They would rather pay a few dollars for this thing to go away. Is it worth $250 million? It's inconceivable that a 16-year-old could suffer $250 million in a loss of reputation.
Right. So I guess this is more of a symbolic gesture. I know that in my own dealings with my attorneys on other situations, they've always said, I wouldn't do this. Nobody really ever ought to enter into a court fray just on principle. You have to kind of have something there. So this seems, though, to be more about principle than it is about true damage, correct?
Yes, and that's not a reason to use the courts. If there's a principle they want to argue, like you should have turned your cameras the other way because this was a child, there's a political and a First Amendment forum in which to make that argument. You know, the courts don't exist in order to right every wrong, and the courts don't exist to provide forums for the exposition of principle. They exist to right wrongs under the law, and where the wrongs are provable and where there have been damages. Where there is no damage, there is no case. So I don't know what damage the young man has suffered. If anything, he's become what we call a limited purpose public figure. He entered a public dispute by standing there with the cameras on him, intending to affect the outcome of the dispute. That raises the bar and makes it very, very difficult for him to prevail on this case. And I'm sure his lawyers, who are, as I said before, expert in the field, know this.
Yeah, and it also does seem to a certain degree that we were able to achieve, those of us who stood behind the Covington school kids, we were able to kind of achieve what we've already achieved, which was proving that were a lot of lies being told and a lot of misrepresentations and that kind of thing. So the illumination on the wrong that was done to the Covington kids has been prolific. That's for sure.
Well, again, I mean, as I said, the courts don't exist in order to right every wrong. Sometimes I say something on air, and as a result of my saying it, somebody's hurt. Their feelings are hurt. Their reputation may be tarnished a little bit.
Yeah.
But the First Amendment value of the freedom of the press is a higher value than somebody not being offended. There is no right not to be offended, but there is a right to speak your mind.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see Tucker, by the way, fighting back on this effort that Media Matters. I'm sure you've probably been in their crosshairs before too, but I'm really happy.
Oh, I have. These are people that have hated him since his MSNBC days.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he said. I'm in bed when he's on. Yeah. And I gather they dragged up something he said on a radio show 10 years ago, and
I know.
They're trying to force him to justify it today.
Well, you are always a gem, and we appreciate you.
I wouldn't want to have to justify everything I said over pizza and beer with my buddies. Let's put it that way.
I'm with you on that.
You.
That is for sure. Well, hopefully we'll get a chance to maybe see you, maybe figure out an excuse to bring you to St. Louis, because I'd love to see you again. Judge Napolitano, thanks so much for your time.
Okay, all the best, Jamie. Have a good one.
All the best to you. That is Judge Napolitano at Judge Knapp on Twitter and judgenap.com. This is Common Sense Radio.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. There is speculation an automated anti-stall system may have contributed to this week's crash of a Boeing 737 MAX 8 jetliner in Ethiopia, as well as the crash of another of the planes in Indonesia back in October. The FAA says it expects Boeing will soon complete safety upgrades to the system. The United States pulling its remaining diplomatic personnel out of Venezuela, citing deteriorating conditions in the South American country. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has come out against the impeachment of President Trump. That puts her at odds with some of her fellow congressional Democrats who seem intent on impeaching the president. On Wall Street, stock futures are mixed. Dow futures down 88 points, while NASDAQ futures are up 7. S&P futures currently down a fraction. More details at srnnews.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Starting to slow up across the area this morning as traffic volume gets on the rise. We do have a couple of issues. The right lane blocked with a stalled vehicle on the southbound side of 270 just before you reach 6440. Watch for some minor delays to develop right near Ladue. Eastbound 6440 got emergency crews headed to the scene of an accident just before you reach 141 with some slow spots back at Chesterfield Parkway East. Northbound 270 building between Gravois and Manchester. This traffic report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Mothers Against Drunk Driving supports victims of drunk driving, drug driving, and underage drinking at no charge. Call their 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
Mostly cloudy skies today with a high of 54. A little rain this evening, otherwise considerable cloudiness with a low of 46. Cloudy and windy tomorrow with periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high 66. A passing shower tomorrow evening, otherwise partly cloudy, breezy, and mild, the low 57. Windy Thursday with sunshine and patchy clouds, the high 64. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Call the 1380 The Answer listener line and tell us, what do you think?
You know what? I wish, with all the modern technology there is nowadays with cameras and microphones, man, I wish there was some way these conservatives could plant some microphones in the homes of some of these Democratic socialists and record some of the things that they say. I just know that it's a heck of a lot worse than anything that a Republican would ever say. I would just bet anything on it.
The 1380 Answer listener line. Call 844-825-1380. It's your turn to speak up.
Hey, Michael's Flooring Outlet is back supporting Allman in the Morning. Love this guy and love what they do for you. 4 locations throughout the St. Louis area. Check it out at michaelsflooringoutlet.com. The best installers you're going to find anywhere. The highest quality flooring products you're going to find anywhere. And if you want to test it out, go to Google and just Google Michael's Flooring Outlet reviews. And you're going to see top-notch 5-star ratings almost all across the board. michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
Are you overwhelmed with more than $10,000 of credit card debt, personal loans, medical bills, or collections accounts? Do you find yourself getting nowhere, only making the minimum payments? Did you know that if you're only making the minimum payment, it could take you 20 years or more to pay off your debt? Hi, I'm Nicole Rothman from National Debt Relief. For years, you've heard National Debt Relief on the radio sharing how we can resolve your debt for a fraction of what you owe in just 24 to 48 months. I'm here to tell you it's not too good to be true. In fact, we've already helped hundreds of thousands of Americans resolve over $1 billion of debt. We're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and have received over 35,000 5-star reviews. The best part is, we don't earn a penny until we've successfully resolved your debt.
If you have $10,000 or more in debt, call National Debt Relief today for your free debt assessment and see how much you can save. Call 800-377-3066. That's 800-377-3066. Again, that's 800-377-3066.
Listen to Allman in the Morning with Alexa. Wake up and say, Alexa, play The Answer St. Louis. Now, back to Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
The blues. He's feeling inside his first pair of shoes. He's just a baby.
Call Tammy.com listener line. Real estate listener line is 844-855-1380. Having fun watching CNN and their multi-member panels on Tucker Carlson. And the headline is Tucker Carlson defiant as outrage grows over his past comments. That means like more idiots on Twitter are commenting about Tucker Carlson's comments. That's what outrage grows means when you hear it from the left wing and the media. When they say outrage grows, that means more of these goofballs are talking about it on CNN, and more people on Twitter where good ideas go to die are talking about it. Outrage grows means that CNN's panels are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're going to have, instead of having 6 people on, we're going to have 9 people on as outrage grows. We have 9 people chiming in on Tucker Carlson. And it's great to see Tucker Carlson basically telling these people to bite him. And I'm glad to see it. And it's about time conservatives fought back against these people whose sole purpose is to erase their voice. These people don't care about what Tucker Carlson said on the radio 10 years ago. They really don't. Some of that language is not language that I would use or whatever. But again, who cares? It's none of my business. And it's not Tucker Carlson now anyway. But the reason why they're going after him is because they want to erase his voice. Because I'm watching CNN right now, and Tucker Carlson's show is swamping these people. You get Stetler on there, who's angry because Fox News hosts aren't resigning because they're not going to do the debate and all this other stuff. But CNN, I mean, Tucker Carlson wipes the floor with them every evening. He humiliates the left. They can't stand that guy. Tucker Carlson is quite possibly one of the smarter intellects on television these days. I'd put him up against anybody in terms of his IQ and his entertainment quality and his writing and everything else. He's far above, and it's humiliating to these people to have him on the air every night. And oftentimes he has Democrats on, and he debates them and everything else. But they can't stand this guy. He's killing him in the ratings, and now they want to get him off the air. And CNN is reporting on this. Like, you know, CNN lies repeatedly every single day. You saw, we were just talking about Covington. CNN, what's worse, Tucker Carlson using the C word on a Bubba the Love Sponge radio show 10 years ago, or CNN journalists lying to the public on the air? What do you think is worse? What does anybody think is worse? And you'd imagine that, yeah, it's worse when CNN goes on the air and lies. Allison Camerata, Stelter, all these other people who went on and lied about the circumstances surrounding the Covington kids and that ate-up old Native American, he claims to be, guy, Nathaniel Phillips, and his dumb drum. So they make up a story and keep up perpetuating the lie. They buy into every lie Jesse Smollett tells. Every single day, Don Lemon is calling President Trump a racist on CNN, and we're supposed to be outraged over a comment that Tucker Carlson made 10 years ago? What they're outraged about is that Tucker Carlson kicks their butt every night on TV. He shames them, he humiliates them, not by name calling or not by this or not by that, but by facts and points of view, which is even more awesome. He doesn't have to call somebody a name or call this or do that to get his point across, although sometimes it's fun to say things are dumb or whatever. You know, I get it. I do it too. But they really just want Tucker Carlson off because they don't like his ideas and they don't want his voice on the air. In fact, it's so weird sometimes even listening to him. I'm about to play him here because I remember the days of going just through this. And that's what happened here is that people who Media Matters doesn't, the only reason they watch Fox News or Tucker Carlson is because they love the self-flagellation they get from it. That's the only reason I could think they could watch Tucker Carlson, not to be illuminated, but just to be humiliated. So some kind of self-loathing that's going on there that makes them want to talk to him or watch his show. But yeah, we had people here in St. Louis. I mean, they're the left-wing mob, and they really sold. But they didn't care about what's his name down there in Florida, David Hogg. I forgot his name. Can you believe that? They don't care about him. They don't care about students shot to death. They don't care about guns. They don't care about any of these people. David Hogg even knew that because he was asked about it. He's like, yeah, well, I wish they'd talk about something else. Because Stacey Newman and her gang of left-wing goons only cared about erasing my voice on the air because it was one of the most popular conservative shows in St. Louis, and they didn't like that. And Heart Attack Jaco, sitting behind in his basement, tweeting away, he doesn't like it either. So they just wanted to erase a voice. Well, too bad, so sad, because it's back. Just letting you know. Anyway, on to Tucker. Enough about myself. This was great. Good for him.
Carlson tonight. As anyone who's ever been caught in its gears can tell you, the great American outrage machine is a remarkable thing. One day you're having dinner with your family, imagining everything is fine. The next, your phone is exploding with calls from reporters. They read you snippets from a press release written by Democratic Party operatives. They demand to know how you could possibly have said something so awful and offensive. Do you have a statement on how immoral you are? It's a bewildering moment, especially when the quotes in question are more than a decade old. There's really not that much you can do to respond. It's pointless to try to explain how the words were spoken in jest or taken out of context, or in any case bear no resemblance to what you actually think or would want for the country. None of that matters. Nobody cares. You know the role you're required to play. You are a sinner begging the forgiveness of Twitter. This is a system built on deceit.
Isn't that just so true? And it's true for everybody. I feel sorry for people who wear the wrong dress at a music award ceremony and then suddenly they get raked over the coals on Twitter. And then Twitter becomes the source of news for a newspaper or a group. You know how that happens, right? I mean, you see the word backlash about once every 24 hours, don't you? Backlash over a month. And then invariably you go and say, I wonder what the backlash is. Oh, it's on Twitter by a bunch of anonymous fools typing away at their outrage. And I actually, to this day, and I realize a lot of you are on Twitter, I get it. To this day, even after that whole thing, I was like, I didn't want to do Twitter anyway. I remember when the call came about, I was like, I'm on the radio. I don't need to tweet. No, you need to tweet. You need to get out there and social media. I'm like, I'm on the radio 3 hours, 4 hours a day. Why do I need to tweet? And now Twitter is just, with the exception of a few of my friends, and I'm trying to offend you if you're still on Twitter, but what I'm saying is it just is a cesspool. It's just where all these ledge sitters go and squat and wait for their next victim to come along. It really is an insufferable venue. But it happens, though, all the time to these people where they are, and I've seen this before, where somebody might say something or not say the right thing, and then outrage grows, backlash over this, backlash over the dress, backlash over comments, backlash over that joke, but invariably it all becomes Twitter, and the news media goes and like the Post-Dispatch or others, they're now like, I would never, back in my day at Channel 4. When I was doing reporting, we would never be able to use basically scanner traffic from the police or stuff that we hear or stuff that somebody says anonymously. We'd never be able to use this as a basis of a trend or a story. But now, just because something happens to be trending on Twitter, it becomes a news story when oftentimes it's not even worthy of coverage, but they do it anyway. But it's also become a vehicle for people to destroy other people and to rake people over the coals for heaven knows what. Back to Tucker.
Since the very first day, toughness is a rare quality at a TV network, and we are grateful for that. Second, we've always apologized when we're wrong, and we'll continue to do that. That's what decent people do. They apologize. But we will never bow to the mob. Ever. No matter what.
Well, Fox News better not bow to the mob at that point, should they? And good for Tucker to get out there and get scrapping with these people, because that's the only way to put these dogs down, and that is to rub their nose in their own poop and remind them that they're in the wrong. And Tucker's doing that with Media Matters and the rest of the gang. I've actually been, I was on Media Matters once for the Allman report. They tried to call me a racist or do whatever because of some comments I made. So and it was some ledge sitter here in St. Louis, because Media Matters doesn't really have a main place. They just have a bunch of people who are contributors and who sit around and, obsess over conservative radio and that kind of stuff. But good for Tucker to stand up, and I just hope that the network continues to stand up for him, and I think they will. Again, compare the damage Tucker did to people or to society or to this country by using the C word on Bubba the Love Sponge's show 10 years ago. Compare that damage to the damage being done on a regular basis by the left-wing media as it tells bald-faced lies every day. Whether it be about a high school kid or whatever, this is how we're living now, is watching these people lie to people's faces, and yet Tucker Carlson says something 10 years ago that they don't like, and they decide they're going to try to run his show off the air. And believe me, advertisers, anybody who, if there's one advertiser who leaves that show, man, I'm gonna make sure I never go near them again. I don't know who that's going to be, but I don't think anybody's really going to leave. I hope they really don't. Speaking of social media, did you see this? The Elizabeth Warren. I'm actually really, folks, after this, I really do want to get to this Don Rickles clip on Johnny Carson. because you know what happened is, and it just usually happens to me, I'm looking up Here Comes the Judge to play for the judge who's on, and I run across, Here Comes the Judge. I see the video, and of course it's on YouTube. And of course, suddenly on the side of YouTube, I'm like, oh, there's clips from Laugh-In. Oh, there's a clip of Don Rickles and Burt Reynolds on Johnny Carson. Now, believe me, Don Rickles, as a comedian today, would never be able to exist. What a sad state of affairs. Have you ever watched the Dean Martin roast before? With Nipsey Russell and George Burns and all these guys and Rickles, and man, that would never happen in a million years in modern day. People are just babies. They wouldn't put up with it. You should have, go and see these Dean Martin roasts sometimes. They are awesome, but they are edgy. And this was on primetime TV at the time. It wasn't like Comedy Central's roast where you gotta subscribe and you got, those things where those are actually kind of funny too, but they're really raw. But they're kind of funny sometimes. But nonetheless, Rickles and those guys all did everything without saying one bad word, one cuss word. So I gotta go back and see what Rickles says about Burt Reynolds and everybody else. He was great. But in the meantime, quick follow up on the social media situation. So there were Elizabeth Warren put out ads in which she announced a plan to try to break up Facebook and try to keep Facebook from acquiring WhatsApp and Instagram. And she says 3 companies have vast power over our economy and our democracy. Actually, the reason why Elizabeth Warren doesn't want them around is probably because that's where people caught her in her Native American lie, her Pocahontas lie. And so she doesn't want that to happen anymore. Social media played a huge role in elevating President Trump and his campaign. And actually, it seems to me that Facebook and Twitter and those other guys are working hard not to have that happen in 2020. So I don't know what Elizabeth Warren's worried about, really. Facebook's kind of on her side, or maybe not, especially if she's just lying about being a Native American. But she believes that they have too much power and that they should be broken up. Now, obviously, antitrust laws are defensible and have been upheld by the Supreme Court. The government, the U.S. government, has within its enumerated powers the ability to regulate commerce. It can do that, but you have to have a case to be made that it's actually a monopoly, as opposed to just simply Facebook being really good at what it does and dominating the market, kind of like Google. There are other search engines out there. They're just not as popular as Google is. So is that Google's fault? Or Facebook? There's other social media outlets out there, but Facebook just happens to be the most popular one. Is that Facebook's fault? Instagram, WhatsApp, whatever? Or is it just simply good old-fashioned competition where there are winners and there are losers? The good ones live and the bad ones die. Call the Tammy.com real estate listener line, 844-855-1380. It's Common Sense Radio.
Call the show at 844-855-1380 and interact with Jamie on the calltammy.com listener line.
That's 844-855-1380.
More Allman in the Morning next on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Got a couple more problems as we work our way through our morning. Southbound 270, the right lane blocked with a crash before 6440, causing a delay back into Olive Boulevard. Eastbound 6440, crews working an accident right near 141 with thick traffic beginning near Boone's Crossing. Northbound 270 on the brakes, Tesson Ferry to Manchester. Westbound 270 starts to slow at 367. Watch for delays both directions of 6440. Eastbound hung up 170 into Big Bend. We've got brake lights on the westbound side in between Hampton and Big Bend. This traffic report is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America invites you to take steps for cures at a walk event near you. Support the 1.6 million Americans living with these diseases. Get started at cctakesteps.org. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Hey, you know what? When My Pillow came and said, hey, we want Allman to sell some pillows, I said, well, that's going to be easy because I'm already a customer of My Pillow. I've watched the commercials with Mike on there, Mike Lindell. They're very entertaining. I think he's a great guy, and I really admire his passion and admire his business acumen, man. This guy really knows how to promote a great product, and he does. And so some of you might be looking at the commercials and say, I don't know, it seems like a whatever. But the bottom line is I'm already a customer. I didn't do it just because I was speaking for My Pillow. I did it because I was sold on the product, and that's really something to say. And so now I'm proud to say that My Pillow is a proud sponsor of Radio Free Allman in the Morning and Common Sense Radio here on The Answer. So I love these guys, and I have a special offer for you, and this is just for my listeners, okay? So here's the deal. They've got a 4-pack offer that includes 2 premium My Pillows, and then with 2 Go Anywhere pillows that you can just take anywhere. So he's got the My Pillows you keep on your bed, and then when you travel or wherever you want to take that comfort with you, then you can go ahead and have the 2 Go Anywhere pillows plus free shipping, all that for you. And also, if you are looking for even more comfortable night's sleep, I encourage you to check out the My Pillow sheets, which are absolutely beautiful, comfortable, and you're sleeping cool, and they're really awesome. So you're going to love the Dream Sheets, we call them, because they are fabulous and indeed dreamy, and you're going to love the sheets. The sheets matter, and it matters whether or not you're sleeping comfortably and coolly and softly. And My Pillow allows you to do just that with the pillows as well as the sheets. So here's how you go ahead and get a hold of this deal. 800-964-3187. 800-964-3187. And the promo code is Jamie. You can go to mypillow.com and check it out too. But either way, make sure you always remember the promo code, and that is Jamie.
Business owners, self-employed, part-time employees, are you struggling to pay your bills because you no longer can afford your health insurance? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. With Obamacare premiums skyrocketing, higher deductibles, and shrinking networks, let me introduce you to Dryden Camus Insurance Agency as the answer, the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency has non-Obamacare ACA-compliant plans that do not fund abortion. There's no enrollment period, and you don't have to pay for expensive extras like pediatric dentistry or maternity care. Contact Joyce at Dryden Camus Insurance Agency and start saving up to 60%. Call 877-695-0245. That's 877-695-0245, or just go to kddi-ins.com. Cut through the confusion and save money with Dryden Camus Insurance Agency, serving Missouri and Illinois. This is the answer. This is the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency. Just go to kddi-ins.com.
KXFN, St. Louis, K287BY, St. Louis.
Curtains, shades, blinds, shutters. What are the best for living rooms or bedrooms? Hey, it's Allman from Allman in the Morning. I want to tell you about the quality customized service you will receive when you call my friend Michael Proctor at Proctor Drapery. Michael is an interior designer with exceptional expertise when it comes to window treatments for your home or business. Michael has served our St. Louis area since 1974 with the highest quality and value for custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. He's also the top-tier Hunter Douglas priority dealer and your first choice for Norman Plantation shutters. Those are beautiful. Call Michael Proctor today and schedule your in-home consultation with Michael's mobile design unit. He will come to you. Weekend and evening appointments are available. The one-on-one appointment with Michael will ensure the look is exactly what you're looking for in your home or business. So cut down on the risk of error. Schedule your appointment today with Michael Proctor. Proctor spelled like doctor, proctordrapery.com.
The Dana Show, this afternoon at 1. Now, more Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Can I get a witness in the darkness? 'Cause there ain't no love at all to be found. Feeling like a freight train, trying to break chains. Everybody needs a...
All right, coming up, Jimmy Hoff, the Gateway Pundit's going to be with us. And then Kurt Schlichter's going to be on at 9:30. So if you're not able to catch it at 9:30 and you're busy, make sure you go ahead and review it on the podcast or the Facebook or whatever you want to do, because it's going to be a good one. And Kurt, if he talks as well as he writes, it's going to be an awesome evisceration of the Never Trumpers, which is what his recent article is all about. So really love this guy. He's going to be on at 9:35. I'm going to talk a little bit too later on about Boeing. This story, and again, in full disclosure, I have no stock in Boeing. I have no financial interest in Boeing. But I got to tell you, yesterday, I think the news media ran amok in attempting to get the FAA, pushing the FAA to ground these 737s. These are awesome airplanes, and Southwest basically only uses them and has ordered more, and United and American, and these are reliable planes. 2 accidents in some third world hellholes shouldn't ground a good plane. And so they were trying to get why hasn't the FAA grounded these airplanes? We're like, what do you guys know about airplanes? What are you talking about? Anyway, there might be a problem, but so far, if there was a problem, you'd have these things dropping out of the sky as prolific as they are in use. Let me get to Matt here. Matt, I got about a minute here, buddy, but thank you for hanging on line 1. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. Yourself?
I'm fine, thank you. What's up?
Just, it's kind of funny how Samantha Bee still has her show on the air, even though, she just dropped the C word on the president's daughter not even a year ago.
Oh, yeah. Well, or Jimmy Kimmel making fun of the first lady's accent. It's like, and that just happened months ago as opposed to 10 years ago. I mean, it's crazy, the double standard, brother. You're so right.
Yeah. But, they'll never bring it up. It's like it's all been pushed under the rug. You can't even find it on the internet anymore.
Oh, yeah. I mean, or even just the way Bill Maher talks, using the N-word constantly. There's never anybody trying to get him off the air, and I'm glad, because I don't want, my goal would never be to erase a voice. But let's stop erasing all voices as opposed to just choosing to erase the ones that happen to be conservative and the ones that you don't like. The calltammy.com real estate line, 844-855-1380.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump taking to Twitter this morning, urging Senate Republicans to support him on his emergency declaration for the southern border. The president writes, it is about border security and the wall, stopping crime, drugs, etc., not constitutionality and president. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she's against impeaching the president.
In a lengthy profile published in the Washington Post, Pelosi says, and this is a quote, he's just not worth it. The speaker says impeachment is so divisive to the country that unless there's something compelling and overwhelming and bipartisan, she opposes it because it divides the country. Pelosi has routinely tried to tamp down talk of impeachment among her members, but this is the first time she has come out directly opposed to it.
Capitol Hill correspondent Wally Hines. U.S. aviation regulators say they don't see any evidence it would prompt an order to ground the new Boeing 737 MAX 8 jetliner, despite this week's fatal Ethiopian crash, the second accident in 5 months.
While the Federal Aviation Administration is standing by the airworthiness of the new 737 MAX 8, a handful of countries and now some airlines have ordered the plane grounded. Aviation safety expert Thomas Anthony at the University of Southern California says the FAA will sound the alarm if
issues come up that are unanticipated, and if they must be dealt with immediately and significantly, the FAA will issue an airworthiness directive.
Not good enough, says a consumer group, flyersrights.org, which says passengers' lives are at risk with a wait-and-see attitude. Jackie Quinn, Washington.
The U.S. pulling the remainder of its diplomatic staff out of Venezuela. On Wall Street, Dow futures down 51 points, NASDAQ futures up 21. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Eastbound 6440 crews tending to a crash just before 141. That's created some double-digit delays beginning right near Boone's Crossing. Also have double-digit slowdowns on the southbound side of 270, where emergency vehicles are blocking off the right lane to deal with a crash just before 6440. Those delays will begin to start slowing things up right near Page. Eastbound 44 on the brakes, Elm through Laclede Station. Also some tight spots on the eastbound side of 70 right near 94. Westbound 6440 hung up at Hampton. This traffic report is sponsored by Compassion International. Right now, there's a child living in extreme poverty with no future and no hope, but you can bring hope when you become a Compassion International sponsor. Just text the word child to 83393 and sponsor a child right now. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
Mostly cloudy skies today with a high of 54. A little rain this evening, otherwise considerable cloudiness with a low of 46. Cloudy and windy tomorrow with periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high 66. A passing shower tomorrow evening, otherwise partly cloudy, breezy, and mild, the low 57. Windy Thursday with sunshine and patchy clouds, the high 64. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Boeing fears massive insurance claims, Pennsylvania lawmakers in a nuclear power battle, and Levi Strauss plans an IPO and new ways to attract American consumers. Those stories next.
Have you ever seen a pest controller spraying chemicals in your home? It makes you wonder, if their chemicals are safe, then why do they suit up and wear respirators only to leave you to walk back in unprotected? G'day, I'm Scott from Plug-in Pest Free, and I'm here to tell you there's a better way. In an age where we now have the choice to drive electric cars, you too can electronically rid your home or business of unwanted rodents and pests. The answer is Plug-in Pest Free. 100% chemical-free, Plug-in Pest Free is your safest bet for your family and pets. Our bestseller, the Plug-in Pest Free Pro, will cover up to 4,000 square feet. Now that's fair dinkum. So order yours today at gopestfree.com. Use promo code SAVE20 for 20% off plus free shipping and a 60-day money-back guarantee. That's gopestfree.com, promo code SAVE20. Don't spray and regret. Plug in and forget. Gopestfree.com today.
Following Sunday's deadly crash, Boeing faces massive insurance claims from passengers' families of that plane if it's found to have been defective. Industry experts say personal claims have yet to be calculated. Pennsylvania lawmakers have begun a heated debate over nuclear power in their state. At issue, legislation to pump hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars into the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant and other facilities. Iconic jeans maker Levi Strauss hoping to sell up to $600 million of shares in an IPO after 3 decades away from the market. Levi Strauss also expanding its online shop where customers can customize their jeans with their own designs. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 o'clock and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
When you listen to the Ed Martin movement, you never know who's going to drop in.
Somebody get me Roger Stone. Come on.
Ed Martin is the only person where CNN has to put on 7 liberals against him, like the man in the lions in the arena, and he wins every time.
Thanks for being on. I want you to know you're the first guest I've had on the movement who has a back tattoo of Nixon.
And probably the last.
Tune in to the Ed Martin movement, weekdays from 3 to 5 to find out who's dropping in next.
Get total freedom in your life safely and quickly. Build wealth and passive income so you never worry about working till you drop, losing your job, or retiring in poverty. Hi, I'm Steve Davis, an investor in thousands of units over the years. Now it's your turn. Del Walmsley has been my mentor for nearly 25 years, and he's taught over 100,000 people just like you the principles of financial freedom through live one-on-one mentoring at Lifestyles Unlimited and his national radio show. I'm excited to tell you about the real estate workshop that changed my life. The workshop gets you on the inside of what we do and what we believe and unlocks the 5 ways we make money in real estate. Just like your personal trainer, Lifestyles Unlimited will motivate, encourage, and teach you so you can get in the best financial shape of your life. Call 866-971-8970 or go to 5wayswemakemoney.com. That's 5wayswemakemoney.com to register for the workshop that will change your life and let you stop worrying about working till you drop, losing your job, or retiring in poverty.
Common Sense Radio with Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday to all of you. Thank you for all of your sweet little birthday wishes. on Facebook. I'm not on there, but I appreciate you. Right, I can't really see it, but thank you all for those and your phone calls too. CallTammy.com listener line. The real estate listener line is 844-855-1380. Coming up, we're going to talk about this Boeing thing and Nancy Pelosi now, who's getting swamped by her fellow Democrats as some kind of traitor because she doesn't want to impeach President Trump. Is now well, he's just not worth it. It's like, thank you, 10-year-old. It's kind of like when Ocasio-Cortez was on that video saying, they asked her, what would you say to Donald Trump? She goes, probably not anything because he's not worth. It's like, really, people? Come on. Anyway, Nancy Pelosi's wise because it would never happen. You try to impeach Trump and then you didn't. It's kind of like, shooting King Kong and not killing him. It's just going to make him stronger, which is exactly what would happen. All right, so let's get to the Gateway Pundit, Jimmy Hoft. And speaking of Ocasio-Cortez and all the green crazies, I love this picture you have up there, Jimmy, of Ocasio-Cortez arriving at one of her amazing Green Deal presentations. And she's arriving in a giant black gas-guzzling SUV. So thanks for joining the SUV movement there, Alexandria. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, good. Good morning, Jamie, and happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Me off on that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. That's a great shot, isn't it? It's Ocasio-Cortez arriving at South by Southwest conference, where she had a couple gigs this past weekend, and there she is standing, waving happily to the crowd of fans in front of her gas guzzler SUV. So, it's very typical. We see this all the time, but it's funny to catch them in the act of hypocrisy.
Yeah, because, you and I know there's nothing wrong with gas guzzlers. We're not the ones, though, wanting to erase them from the planet along with airplanes. So, I mean, if you're that hell-bent on changing things and then you're just driving around in the vehicles you eventually want to disappear, that's not a good look.
Right, and it's always we'll catch them in flying planes, taking Uber rides from her office home a couple blocks rather than taking the subway. All of these stories, and this is the same person who's telling us that we have only 12 years to fight global warming, but she doesn't seem to be too concerned about it in her own life. Or maybe she just thinks she's better than us and thinks that she deserves to ride in luxury and in a roomy SUV, and the rest of us need to squeeze into little cars. It's hard to figure out what's going on in that head.
Yeah, no doubt. What's going on in de Blasio's head in New York, where he has introduced meatless Mondays?
Yeah, isn't that something? There was a story yesterday about how New York City is on the verge of bankruptcy because all of these rich people are moving out. They finally got too tired of the tax rate there. So rather than being concerned about, the economy, which is collapsing there, he's instead recommending meatless Mondays to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So there you have it.
Well, he could always convert to Catholicism and have meatless Fridays during Lent. That'll solve his problem.
Right.
I mean,
right.
We're doing our part, right, Jimmy?
That's it. Yep.
So you have another post here, too, which is, again, I'm so glad you keep following this because nobody, I mean, even in the alternative media really is on top of this because you have a real eye for some of what's going on in the Department of Justice and beyond in the deep state. And so now we have Bruce Orr, the Department of Justice attorney, caught in a lie. And of course, his CIA wife is Nellie, as you all know. So what was going on here?
Well, I think we're getting closer and closer to really understanding what went on in the 2016 election and the setup for Donald Trump and his campaign and the spying that they were doing on Trump and the lies they were spreading on Trump. It looks like several people have mentioned that this Nellie Orr is the one they're protecting. So she must be a very key player in all of this. And we see last week one of the Republican representatives release the transcript of Bruce Orr, Nellie Orr's husband, when he was called into Congress to testify. And we have a tipster who pointed out after scouring through this testimony that we believe that Bruce Orr was lying about his wife under oath, and he says he wasn't up to date on what she was doing, and that they shared the same email address. Is what he also said. So it doesn't make sense that you could have the same emails coming into your box and yet not know what was going on with your wife's the work she was doing. So again, this is all going to come out. I think it's pretty deep, but this Nellie Orr is a key player right now. We believe that, and I think we're going to hear more about her.
Yeah, this thing, the problem is, and I don't know, President Trump, I wish there was some, like Mueller, here he is investigating President Trump and all this other baloney, but it seems to me we almost need a special prosecutor, or at least the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, investigating these people. I mean, I think that there needs to be something separately undertaken to get to the bottom of the dossier and the warrants, and the FISA warrants, and everything else.
Absolutely, and it's criminal that Mueller could spend 2 years on this investigation of Trump and collusion with Russia, where he hasn't found anything, and we all know that because there was no collusion with Russia, and yet he's obviously uncovered these, the real criminal action, that the fact that the Obama administration was spying on the Trump campaign. That's huge. We've never heard anything like that in our lives in America. We always respected the Department of Justice and thought that they were above politics, but now we know under Obama they weren't, and this gets no play, and it's really criminal that Mueller is not even discussing this when all the evidence is so obvious at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm looking at what's been going on here between Comey and the rest of these guys, and it's like something needs to happen, because it looks to me like they're just going to kind of slink away and slip out onto the lecture circuit and the book deals, and we're just going to be left with this lame attempt, even though it was obviously ate up a lot of time, to bring President Trump down. Crazy.
Right. And we see, again, that nothing's changed as far as we know. Nothing's changed in the Department of Justice. Nothing's changed with the FBI. And it's obvious that these organizations that are supposed to be apolitical were corrupted. Is anything going to happen there? Are any of these players who were breaking the law, spying on Trump, are any of them going to seek justice? It's very concerning. And I think a lot of conservatives, including myself, we want to see some justice here against the real criminals and the people who were spying on Trump during an election. It's unbelievable that this happened, and it's infuriating that we have this corrupt media, Jamie, that doesn't even report on this unless you're watching something, a show like Hannity or Tucker Carlson. You're not going to hear this anywhere in the media. So it's frustrating that they may get away with this.
Yeah, and I know you have a few bits and pieces too from the Tucker Carlson thing, and I just love the fact that Carlson is on and fighting back against this left-wing mob, which is good for him, and because the things that they hate are, for instance, him featuring the Greenpeace co-founder Patrick Moore, who was actually on his show, and going back to kind of Ocasio-Cortez, was on his show attacking the Green Deal, which was pretty amazing. Here, listen to this for a second.
We are using. So when I tweeted the other day and had a huge response, over 3 million impressions on Twitter, when I said you don't have a plan to feed 8 billion people without fossil fuels, or get the food into the cities where it's needed. That requires large trucks, and there's not going to be any electric trucks anytime soon hauling 40 tons of food.
I mean, that's just one example of Patrick Moore just dismantling And this is from Greenpeace, which generally would be otherwise considered to be a fairly radical environmental organization. But boy, when Greenpeace is calling you crazy, that's something.
Yeah, absolutely. This guy was one of the co-founders of Greenpeace. He moved away from the organization after he said they became too crazy.
Yeah.
But he makes perfect sense. I'm glad somebody's telling this Ocasio-Cortez that her plan is going to kill about half the planet. I think that should be brought up in the conversation before we move forward on this nonsense she's promoting, that it would probably end this country the life we know in about 5 to 10 years. So it's absolutely insane that people take this crazy woman's plans for the future of America that would be just devastating. I'm so glad this guy spoke out. It was also good, Jamie, to see Tucker speak out on this outrage mob, because I know you've been a victim of this.
Yeah.
I know I've been a victim of this. And it's so great that we have somebody who's speaking out and also calling out the Republican Party for doing nothing and throwing people continually to the dogs, like you and I have suffered over the past several years. It's nice that somebody's calling out the GOP to quit playing along with this.
Oh, well, and they do. I mean, I experienced even locally after my situation and was all but abandoned by most Republicans in this state, with the exception of a few. And Nick Schroer comes to mind as a great friend of mine, and so he, State Representative Nick Schroer. But the rest of I don't think I got the time of day from any of these guys. No one during even the tumult stood up for me, and sometimes it got to the point where Roy Blunt wouldn't even return my calls. So these guys just aid and abet sometimes this kind of activity on the part of the left, and because they are just basically like worms. I mean, they see a hole and they'll crawl right into it, and that's what they do. And so thank goodness that Tucker is standing up, and thank goodness that Fox is standing up for him as well. And thank goodness there are companies like Salem Media that hired me and said, you know what, we're gonna put this voice back on the air, and we're gonna give everybody who lost their voice again. And so that's what it takes. It takes people to step up and be brave and make some tough decisions sometimes, but do it for righteousness and for the good, and that's great that Tucker's standing up. So
right on.
Gonna keep an eye on that. And also, by the way, you have something regarding Omar there, and I noticed that she dared. It's like Pelosi when she backtracks, saying, "Well, it's not that I don't want to. That's not that I agree with President Trump. It's just he's not worth it." Now suddenly, Omar is confronted about her comments regarding Obama, and she's got to say, "No, there is a difference between Obama and Trump, and that is that Trump isn't human." It's like, oh, nice, subhuman,
right?
Yeah.
This new representative, freshman rep, can't stop making headlines, and she's as toxic and radical as we've ever seen. So. I think, it's funny. It's not like we wake up planning on reporting on this woman or Ocasio-Cortez, but they are so radical and so out of the norm that we're forced to cover this kind of nonsense that we see every day.
Well, and then what happens, Jim, is and then Tlaib comes out and says, well, everybody's Islamophobic. And they're like, no, if you wouldn't talk and say the things you say, we wouldn't have anything to say about you. I mean, if you're Ocasio-Cortez and you didn't come up with one of the dumbest ideas ever in the history of environmental policy, then we wouldn't be saying anything about you. I mean, that's just the bottom line. We're not just picking on people. You're the ones running your mouths.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely.
All right, Jimmy. Well, thanks a lot for joining us, as always, buddy. And you can check it out at thegatewaypundit.com. Jim has been a dear friend, big supporter of the show, and has been with me through thick and thin, and he himself has been through thick and thin. That's for sure, as people try to bring that down. Right. But the Gateway Pundit has indeed survived and is as even stronger. So, Jimmy, thanks a ton, buddy.
Thanks, Jamie.
All right, thegatewaypundit.com. Call Tammy.com. Real estate listener line is 844-855-1380. 844-855-1380. This is Common Sense Radio.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Filling in across our area roads this morning, crews working with a crash that's pushed off onto the right, eastbound 6440, just before Timberlake Manor, but we've got heavy delays back through the Spirit of St. Louis Boulevard. Eastbound 270, locking up between Lindbergh and 170. Brake lights northbound 270 begin right near 55 through to Manchester. Crews cleared the earlier crash southbound 270 before 6440. Still some hang-ups back into Page. Eastbound 6440 a bit slow between McKnight and Big Bend. Meanwhile, on the westbound side, watch for delays to begin near Hampton. This traffic report is sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Folks, I will tell you that Matthew Mitchell and the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency is ready to rock for you. It doesn't matter whether you have a youngster who is about to get their first driver's license. He's got some really pretty good deals for young drivers, which is an important thing because nowadays, boy, it costs a lot of money to insure a young driver, and the insurance companies kind of collude and all kind of take advantage of that, but not Allstate and not Matthew. So he's got some really good deals for you and your young driver. So I would definitely consider that. 855-QUOTE-ME is the phone number for that. But low premiums and low deductibles all at the same time for Matthew Mitchell. It's a rarity in the insurance business. Again, here's Allstate stepping up with another rarity where they usually try to give you low premiums, but then they'll give you the high deductibles because, you know, when you make the claim, they don't have to pay you as much, and it's that kind of game it's played, and so it kind of but Allstate has a big portfolio. They don't have to worry at all about nickel and diming their clients, and so that's not what Matthew does either. So check it out. 855-QUOTE-ME. It's the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency.
Do you consider yourself as the expert in your industry? Do others in the community consider you to be the expert in your line of business? There's an affordable way to position your company as the expert. I'm Lori Vernier, Sales Manager for 1380 AM The Answer and Salem Media St. Louis. Let us help you bring your brand to life. You know your business, and we know how to build an effective and engaging radio show with both on-air and online distribution. Grow your business by enhancing your credibility and branding yourself as the market expert in your field, positioning you above your competitors. Let's work together to help make you the expert St. Louisans turn to for information in your industry. Contact me, Lori Vernier, at theanswerstl.com, and we can discuss bringing your brand to life with your own radio program.
If you love radio as much as we do, then why don't you join us by having your own show? Just go to theanswerstl.com and click Contact Us at the bottom of the page.
This station owned and operated by Salem Media Group.
I regularly hear stories of companies cutting the commissions of their outside salespeople. Has that happened to you? Or maybe you've had accounts taken from you and given to another salesperson to level the playing field. I've never understood those who penalize top sellers when they've become too successful. If you're a good salesperson, especially if you're in media sales, then I want to talk to you. I'm Lori Vernier, local sales manager for Salem STL Radio. I believe in the work I'm doing, but more importantly, this company believes in its people. Last year, Salem Media Group, our parent company, was voted one of the national best and brightest companies to work for. And for the past 2 years, we were voted a great place to work by our employees. If you'd like to join my sales team, drop me an email at jobs@salemstl.com. That's jobs@salemstl.com.
This station is owned and operated by Salem Media Group and is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, want to talk with Jamie? Call 844-855-1380. 844-855-1380. And interact with Common Sense Radio. This is Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Oh, I didn't have my thing plugged in. Sorry there, Phil. Give me some volume there, buddy. Give me some more volume. There. I have it. Just getting this iPad thing together. I'm going to shoot this iPad.
Wait a minute, baby.
they kicked me off Facebook. That's the only reason I wouldn't shoot it on the air. Another Apple product down the drain as far as I'm concerned. Oh, they control our lives. These Apple people do. You know, Jimmy's right. This Tucker Carlson takedown of the GOP, because Tucker basically says that really in the end, even though the GOP will police their own people and do all that kind of stuff, the left really owns them. When the going gets tough, you can always count on most of the GOP running. You know, I mean, they won't go near you because they're so afraid. They're so afraid of the left. They're so afraid of the Washington Post. They're so afraid of being criticized, and they never seemingly stand up for even their own voters. It's kind of like why Donald Trump got elected, because people got the sense that he finally was looking out for them. That he wasn't some. He wasn't Mitt Romney. Keep my language to a minimum here. They finally felt like, wow, I'm connecting to a guy who's a real guy. And it was so funny because I remember when he was running and people were like, well, he's not very presidential. And a lot of us were like, well, what is presidential? What does that mean? Is that being a mealy mouth George W. Bush? When you're speaking, does that mean that we got to? I'll never forget hearing from after H.W. died, like what his one regret was. He was like, "I wish I would have been more passionate." It's like, thanks a lot. I wish I would have been more energetic in defending our principles and that kind of thing. It's like, yeah, thanks, buddy, for all that. I mean, how many times were we going to say, boy, like see Bob Dole, for instance, on the late night with David Letterman, and say, boy, I sure wish he'd talk like that when he was running and be real. That's why Trump is president, because he's real. And he's honest about policy and about us. Watches out for us. 844-855-1380. That is the Tammy.com real estate listener line. Hope to hear from you soon.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. President Trump on Twitter this morning urging Senate Republicans to support him on his emergency declaration for the southern border. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she is against impeaching the president. She tells the Washington Post that impeachment is divisive, and unless there's something so compelling and overwhelming and bipartisan, Pelosi says she doesn't think we should go down that path. U.S. aviation regulators say they don't see any evidence that would prompt an order to ground the new Boeing 737 MAX 8 jetliner, despite this week's fatal Ethiopian crash, the second accident in 5 months. Stocks are opening mixed this morning on Wall Street, and just after the opening bell, the Dow is down about 50 points, the S&P 5 points higher, the Nasdaq is up 16 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Emergency crews have blocked off 2 left lanes, allowing only traffic to get by in the right lane on the eastbound side of 44 around a crash just before 109. Heavy delays begin back at Six Flags. But some good news as crews picked up the earlier accident eastbound 6440 before Timberlake Manor. Still have brake lights on back through the Spirit of St. Louis Boulevard. Northbound 270 jamming up Gravois to Manchester. Southbound 170 a bit slow between Brentwood and 6440. Westbound 6440 on the brakes Kings Highway through the Cleat Station with some minor delays on the eastbound side beginning right near 170. This traffic report is sponsored by Compassion International. It's easier to change the world than you think. Sponsor a child in extreme poverty with Compassion International and you'll change the world for that child. Just text the word child to 83393 to sponsor. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
Mostly cloudy skies today with a high of 54. A little rain this evening, otherwise considerable cloudiness with a low of 46. Cloudy and windy tomorrow with periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high 66. A passing shower tomorrow evening, otherwise partly cloudy, breezy, and mild, the low 57. Windy Thursday with sunshine and patchy clouds, the high 64. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3, The Answer.
Larry Elder explains how hard Trump has been on Russia.
The president has been the toughest on Russia than any modern president. Trump has pulled out of this treaty with Russia that Russia was violating. Trump has armed the Ukrainians. He's made us more energy efficient. He's condemned that pipeline that Russia is building between its country and Germany, and the president's being reamed as soft on Russia.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 5 on 1380 and 105.3, The Answer. Breaking news, stimulating talk.
Rick Pogue here with Arrowhead Building Supply, the region's #1 specialty exterior building supplier. Arrowhead has the widest range of exterior products, from the most economical and commodity items to our highest end outside elegance collection. If you need a contractor, Arrowhead supplies products to hundreds of the best contractors and builders in the business. Call us for a contractor referral and rest easy. The Arrowhead Cube home visualizer tool means you can upload an actual photo of your home and change it with just a touch of your finger. Now you can be 100% confident in your selections before they are installed in your home. Our product showrooms are the largest and most beautiful in the industry. We make it simple to experience a full range of siding, roofing, window, door, deck, and even stone options for your home or business. Check us out at arrowheadbuildingsupply.com or visit an Arrowhead showroom near you today in St. Peters, Missouri, Peebly, Missouri, and Fairview Heights, Illinois. Arrowhead Building Supply. Building supplies for building success.
arrowheadbuildingsupply.com.
America's First News with Matt Ray gets you up to speed mornings from 4 to 6, right before Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3, The Answer.
Step one, you say we need to talk. He walks, you say sit down, it's just a talk. He smiles politely back at you. You stare politely right on through some sort of window.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Call Tammy.com, real estate listener line, 844-855-1380. Coming up in just about an hour from now, the great Kurt Schlichter. Love this guy, love his writing, love his verve, love his energy, love his passion. Recently wrote an article about the Never Trumpers never shutting up, and it's a really good one. Did you see what they pulled at CPAC? These guys, these Charlie Sykes and Bill Kristol guys from that ridiculous outfit called the Bulwark, which is now where all the Never Trumpers are. And whatever happened to Evan McMullen, by the way? Do we know whatever happened to him? Where'd he go? He just disappeared. Some of these guys just like are off the face of the earth. George Will, all those people. Good. Bill Kristol. And hey, Jimmy, hang on the line now. I'll get to you in 1 second here. But they sent as their correspondent for the Bulwark and by the way, that's really so typical of these guys naming something like that. You'd have no idea what it is. It's no wonder conservatives have been losing for the past 20 years. Or I'm sorry, a decade, I guess. The Bulwark. Come on, people. You guys, you can't come up with something better than that, the Bulwark? That has Bill Kristol written all over it. I think I looked up Bulwark. You looked it up for me? Bulwark. Boat. It's a boat. Yeah, right. Sure. No, I mean, I know. What I'm saying is, yeah, they're a big ship, all right. They're like a sinking ship is what they're a canoe. They're a one-man kayak is what they are, the Bulwark. Ooh, here comes the Bulwark. Watch out, because they're the real conservatives. They're going to get you every time. So anyway, they sent a reporter as a rep of Bulwark, and she's this leftist pro-abortion chick on Twitter. And she goes and decides she's just going to kind of troll all of the pro-life Republicans at CPAC. And apparently the design here among the Never Trump crowd and among the people like the Bulwark guys is to dismantle the conservative movement so much and humiliate it so much that it has to be rebuilt, which they're never going to do. I mean, they're going to die before that happens. But that's what they want to have happen is they want it to be destroyed rather than survive in the way it is. Isn't that weird? Did you hear what I just said? They want the conservative movement destroyed rather than have to put up with what it is. It's a very dramatic, strange, almost sick way of looking at things, but it's almost like movie-esque where, I remember, what was the movie with Bruce Dern in it that was so darn good? And it wasn't Soylent Green. It was the other one with the little robots and things. Maxie, what was the name of that movie that's Bruce Dern in it? It was a good one. Silent Running. Yeah, that was a good one. I love Bruce Dern. You think Bruce Dern's a good actor there, Maxie?
Absolutely. And those robots were Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yeah, I remember that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I thought maybe something happened where, something deteriorated or something infected or polluted the atmosphere, did something, and so they destroyed it because he couldn't accept this idea that somehow this pristine thing had been. I can't really remember exactly what it was, but I seem to remember like a horrific ending to the thing.
Well, it was one of those 1970s depressing science fiction movies.
Yeah, I know. I remember seeing it in the theaters, man. It was really. I want to go watch that again. It might look dated, but I bet it's pretty cool. But nonetheless, so that's a weird thing where in order, well, it's almost like I think they would claim that that's what God did in creating the great flood. That Noah had to escape. Because God didn't like the way the world was behaving, and so he created this great flood. So now the conservatives are playing that with the Republican Party. They don't like the fact that President Trump is now the head of the conservative movement and not them. And so they'd rather have it all dismantled and destroyed so they could go back on TV and attack and raise money on the backs of Democrats. Because that's really kind of what happened. I talked about this earlier, and this is not any news to you guys, but there were a lot of people who had a vested interest in Hillary Clinton becoming president, and they had a vested interest in it not because they were looking out for the country. They had a vested interest in it because they were writing books. And also they had certain shows that they felt were going to be jeopardized if they didn't have something to yell about. I'm not kidding you. That's how this works, right, Phil? I mean, there were people who if President Trump, if we, because keep in mind, there for a while there, I believe, and I'm not, trying to be ridiculous here, but for a while there, I was wondering, like, why would you put up a John McCain against a Barack Obama? Or a Mitt Romney, they had no energy, no vitality. Romney would run around shuffling. It never lifted his feet off the ground, just shuffling around, ordering cranberry and walnut salads. It's like, dude, that's our Republican guy. And so, so it was wondering, like these were sacrificial lambs because we were getting drubbed every time. Romney should have won that 2012 election. He really should have, but they didn't because they didn't have the energy and they didn't have the passion that President Trump had in changing the electoral map and everything else. But I wouldn't. But something tells me that maybe some Republicans liked it that way because you could fundraise and you could get reelected and you could, if you have an enemy like Obama. Think of how many Republican lawmakers fundraised just scaring people about Obama. Think of how many authors and radio hosts and people like that wrote books scaring people about Obama. And I have no doubt, because right after the election of Donald Trump, did you notice all the books that came out from people who were writing the books while the election was going on, counting on Hillary being the president. So Ben Sass could go back and have his books about how terrible it is that we don't have Christmas trees planted everywhere and how society's going down the tubes. And it's like, uh-oh. I think we have a president who went on stage surrounded by Christmas trees, Ben. I don't think that's the problem anymore. But that ruined his book. You can sell books that way. You can't scare, a lot of times people exist on scaring people. I told you that that's what the Democrats do too. So I was wondering, but these guys at the Bulwark, actually, they like George Will, he had the same opinion about Ronald Reagan, I hope you know. He had the same exact opinion about Ronald Reagan, that Ronald Reagan was going to destroy the party and that he was going to drive the party backwards and it would never be the same again. And look what he did. He saved the party. Now he's considered to be the quintessential conservative. Everybody compares themselves to Reagan, right? And there's a guy that wasn't good enough for George Will. And then Trump wasn't good enough for George Will until we've read George Will's articles about Trump saying, that looks like the article you wrote about Reagan. You know what, George? You're wrong a lot. Bill Kristol, people finally figured out, voters and Jimmy finally figured out, you guys, Bill Kristol and Chris Steyerwalt, you guys are wrong a lot. Karl Rove, you guys are wrong a lot. And finally we realized that it's like we were being led by punditry and politicians that were wrong almost all the time. It was kind of crazy. Jim's on line one. Jim, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Thanks for holding on.
Hey, Jamie. I just wanted to extend a welcome back.
Thank you.
St. Louis, and we really did miss you and everything. And I just wanted to affirm or reaffirm this style you have, and that's this the stream of consciousness. And when you go off script, so to say, when you go down these rabbit holes, what you actually end up doing is going into the ears and into the hearts of believers that are saying, yeah, that's what I think. And that's what, I couldn't give words to it. And, not enough people are hearing these things, and not enough people are saying them. And we're kind of like sheep without a shepherd, because we all feel and hear these things. I mean, we all feel them. We all know them intuitively, but we don't have anybody saying them. And I appreciate when you kind of say these things, like right now when you're just talking about Bill Kristol and that gang, and Moses brought the 10 Commandments, but the 11th commandment Trump brought, and the 11th commandment is that not all Republicans are conservatives, and not all people that say that the Republicans actually love their country and love their families and love their communities, and so they have other interests. And we're seeing that, and I really appreciate you doing that, Jamie. Now I'm going to hang up and
okay. Well, thank you.
Go on again.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. I mean, there comes a time when you just finally do realize it. I mean, I remember, and a lot of it is the way we are kind of brought up when we are in the conservative realm. We're told by certain people what conservatism is until we realize that, well, is it really conservative to intervene in foreign conflicts and foreign skirmishes and foreign lands? I will tell you, my son proudly served in Iraq. He turned 20 in Iraq in the U.S. Army. And I supported the war because I was told that there was a threat being made to the United States, and it was on paper. I saw Colin Powell telling me about it. So I was supportive of that like everybody else was. But things like going into Libya and McCain and some of these people wanted to go into Syria. And I'm thinking, well, you guys have never met a war you didn't like. And is that really truly conservative? Or how about trade? I think one of the people like Laura Ingraham taught me this a long time ago, because she talked about this a long time ago, well before Trump ever did even, and that was about about fair trade and free trade. And I'll never forget that being a conservative and just merely broaching the idea that maybe some of these trade deals aren't really working out. What, are you against free trade? What's the matter? Are you some kind of left-wing Democrat? You're against free trade. Freedom! Freedom. That's what we stand for. Ronald Reagan would have never gone for it. I'm like, wait a minute. Reagan was one of the most prolific tariff people around. In fact, nobody really pays attention to that. And in fact, it was funny because my world-famous meltdown with Chris Steyerwalt was a result of that. Because I told, before the interview happened, I said, watch Chris Steyerwalt bring up Ronald Reagan. Because that's what they do. Because he was a so-called free trader on Fox News, and I was in Trump's camp about fair trade. But I knew that Chris Steyerwalt, because I know he's like in his 40s, so these guys were babies when Ronald Reagan was president. I voted for Ronald Reagan. But these guys were babies when Ronald Reagan was president. They don't know Ronald. They just know what they think they know about Ronald Reagan. And so Chris Steyerwalt, I basically laid a trap for him. I really didn't lay the trap as much as he just wandered into my trap. And he goes, Ronald Reagan would have never gone for this. I go, and at that point, I savaged him with facts, which is always a good thing, regarding Ronald Reagan and his tariffs. I mean, he taxed clothespins, for crying out loud. And Steyerwalt wound up kind of hanging up on me. Actually, he said he was going to hang up on me, and I said, no, you don't. I'm going to hang up on you. So it was, but he was angry. And because everybody in the audience was like, he brought up Ronald Reagan just like Allman said he was going to. Because that's what these guys do. Remember Ronald Reagan. It's like, yeah, but I do remember Ronald Reagan. And I don't remember him like you do. And so anyway, that's when Laura really taught me a lot about how free trade isn't free if it's not fair. And that made a lot of sense to me. And that opened up the floodgates for conservatives and Republicans to actually have some symmetry with blue-collar workers and people like that who have been tricked into voting for Democrats all the time. They suddenly, you remember the Reagan Democrat, right? Well, there are a lot of Reagan Democrats who came out of the woodwork for Donald Trump. And again, I'm not saying that we need to give up other principles. I mean, regarding abortion, things like that. I'm not saying that. But boy, a lot of us have been trained to stay in line as conservatives and make sure you believe this or say that and always stand up for free trade. It's like, yeah, but not all the time, because if it's not fair, it's not free. And then you realize, well, yeah, but if you're a real constitutionalist, you believe in freedom. It's like, yeah, but the Constitution also calls for the government to be able to regulate commerce. That's like one of the major roles of the federal government. They can do that. Well, not then they hang up on you. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where we've been taught these things and finally we're free to be sensible and commonsensical. So I love it. I'm having the time of my life right now with this stuff because everything is so clear. Not everything, but lots of things are. Ocasio-Cortez, by the way, believed that Ronald Reagan was somehow some kind of a racist. He decided to. These people have no idea. I mean, I don't even know how old she was in 84. Was she even born yet? What is she, 30 something? I don't know. Yeah, all these people with the National Review, like Jonah Goldberg and those guys, they only know about Ronald Reagan from their moms. They have no idea who Ronald Reagan. They didn't vote for him. They didn't have their driver's license by the time Ronald Reagan was taking office. Anyway, here's Ocasio-Cortez. You want to hear her talk about Ronald Reagan? Because she's an expert after all. But first, I'm going to have to go through a 30-second ad.
But I'd rather be here with my little.
I'll let this go. You can turn the sound down, buddy. Yeah, and then I'll bring it up again.
Perfect example of how
Thank you, Maxie.
special interests and the powerful have pitted white working class Americans against brown and black working class Americans in order to just screw over all working class Americans is Reaganism in the 80s when he started talking about welfare queens. Mm-hmm. He's painting this like really resentful vision of essentially black women who were doing nothing, that were sucks on our country, right? That's not explicit racism, but still rooted in a racist caricature.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, what? I mean, we get that. I mean, there were people who were abusing welfare, and there were people who needed to be given the tools to fish, so to speak, so that they weren't asking for it to be handed to them. And that's not a bad thing. Bill Clinton operated under that element, too. And the pitting the worker against the worker, it doesn't make any sense. That's the one thing President Trump recognized of anything is that the hopes and dreams of black Americans, Hispanic Americans, and white Americans are pretty much the same. We want steady jobs. We want our kids to be okay. We want to live in safe neighborhoods. We want to be secure as a country. We want to prosper. We want to be free to do what we want to do in terms of our religious elements and all that kind of thing. We want to be left alone. I don't think black Americans have any different goal in their lives than white Americans do. And President Trump is the one Republican finally who acknowledged that, or at least talked a lot about it, about making sure everybody had a stake in it. Oh, I'm over time. We'll be back.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Looks like our area roadways getting a bit better as some of these delays begin to thin out just a bit. Eastbound 44, the situation's improving, but now just the left lane blocked off with a crash just before 109. It'll be stop and go back into Six Flags at this point. Southbound 170 tied up between Brentwood and 6440. Watch for some leftover slowdowns on the northbound side of 270. Big Bend into Manchester. Southbound looking okay. Westbound 6440 hung up in between Hampton and Laclede Station. This traffic report is sponsored by Compassion International. Right now, there's a child living in extreme poverty with no future and no hope, but you can bring hope when you become a Compassion International sponsor. Just text the word CHILD to 83393 and sponsor a child right now. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Gotta tell you, I love MyPillow. And MyPillow is a MyPillow. That's why I love MyPillow, because it's exactly what Mike Lindell, when you see him on TV, the inventor of MyPillow, says it's going to be, and that is wildly comfortable and amazing when it comes to what the kind of night's sleep that you want. And when I was told that MyPillow was going to be a sponsor of the show, I actually said, as I've said before, that's perfect because I'm already a MyPillow customer on my own. So I can tell you about how comfortable the MyPillow is. I can tell you about how wonderfully cool I'm sleeping thanks to the MyPillow Dream Sheets. I can tell you that everything you see Mike talk about when you see those TV commercials and you see his passion, there's a reason why it's so popular, and that's because he's right. I know a lot of people actually have MyPillow who simply did it all this on their own. They saw a commercial, they saw it, and they were like, I'm gonna check that out. It sounds, and they talked to somebody who might have purchased a MyPillow at somewhere down the line, and they speak so highly of it. And so MyPillow and the MyPillow Dream Sheets are everything Mike and your friends and I am telling you they are. So here's the deal. MyPillow is now offering a 4-pack that includes 2 premium MyPillows along with 2 Go Anywhere pillows plus free shipping. The Go Anywhere pillows are cool because they're a little smaller and you can take them with you when you travel, and so you have the same MyPillow comfort when you're away as you do at home. That's pretty cool. And also they have, of course, the MyPillow Dream Sheets available as well. So here's the deal for you all when it comes to listening to Allman in the Morning Show now and getting the special deal that they're going to give you if you mention my name. So here's what you do. You can go to mypillow.com and just make sure your code is Jamie. But here's an easier way, too. 800-964-3187. 800-964-3187. And to get the special offer from them, all you got to do is use the promo code Jamie.
KXFN St. Louis, K287BY St. Louis.
Glock Days are back at Denny Dennis Sporting Goods in Fenton, Missouri, March 15th and 16th. Our Glock representative and a Glock armorer will be on site to answer questions or discuss your Glock firearm needs. The first 50 Glock handguns purchased will receive a free Glock range bag during the event. Sight upgrades are available for Glocks, and with a sight purchase, it can be installed on your Glock free of charge. Stop by and take advantage of the huge savings during this event on all Glock firearms, parts, and accessories. Friday and Saturday, March 15th and 16th, Denny Dennis Sporting Goods at 1 Gravois Road in Fenton. Give them a call at 636-349-9447. 636-349-9447. Glock Days are back at Denny Dennis Sporting Goods in Fenton, Missouri, March 15th and 16th.
Denny Dennis Sporting Goods in Old Town Fenton is celebrating Glock Days. Like Denny Dennis on Facebook to get in on their specials.
Results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services. If you owe the IRS back taxes, payroll taxes, or have not filed your returns, the IRS will get you. They can take your property, take you to court, even put you in jail. One call to Wall & Associates, and your tax problems are solved. Wall has saved clients over $150 million in the last 5 years. Our average client settles for about 10% of what is owed. With one call to Wall, you'll never need to talk to the IRS again. We offer free face-to-face consultations in your local area. Remember, Wall has a proven track record with a total client savings over $150 million. Call now for your free face-to-face consultation.
800-660-2294. That's 800-660-2294. 800-660-2294.
Hey, don't just listen to Allman in the Morning. See the show at theanswerstl.com. Now, more Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
All right, we are back with only 30 seconds to go because I was mouthing off a little too long. So we're going to come back with 9 o'clock hour. I'd love to hear from you. Call Tammy.com. Real estate listener line is 844-855-1380. Coming up, Kurt Schlichter and his takedown of the Never Trumpers. And CNN is still on the Tucker Carlson story. It's crazy, but I don't blame them because Tucker Carlson wipes the floor with him every day and every night. So no surprises there.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Britain is the latest country to order the Boeing 737 MAX 8 jetliner to steer clear of its airspace. Growing number of countries and airlines grounding the plane following the second deadly crash involving a MAX 8 in less than 6 months.
The Ethiopia crash comes just months after a similar Indonesian Lion Air jet plunged into the ocean, killing 189 people. Now Australia has joined the Cayman Islands and China with a temporary ban that affects two foreign airlines, Silk Air and Fiji Airways, that use them for flights to Australia. Australian officials say Singapore's Silk Air has already grounded its MAX jets and that it's working with regulators there and in Fiji to minimise disruptions. Meanwhile, Brazil's Gol Airlines has suspended the use of 121 MAX 8 jets, while India's Jet Airways has grounded 5 of the crafts. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
In coming out against the impeachment of President Trump, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi finds herself at odds with some of her fellow congressional Democrats. And why not impeachment?
It divides the country unless there's some conclusive evidence that takes us to that place.
Pelosi speaking with NBC News. Some of her fellow Democrats argue that impeachment is inevitable. Well, not much of a change in consumer prices last month, rising by a scant 0.2%.
Prices were pushed up slightly by higher gasoline and housing costs, even as the prices for autos and clothing slumped. According to the Labor Department, the Consumer Price Index rose a modest 1.5% last month from a year ago. Inflation has been muted despite the solid job market, causing average hourly earnings to climb 1.9% in the past year.
Correspondent Jeremy House. Ongoing concerns about the safety of Takata airbag inflators prompting Honda to recall roughly 1.2 million vehicles in North and Central America from the 2001 to 2016 model years. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 50 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Eastbound 6440, crews tending to a crash just before 141. That's created some double-digit delays beginning right near Boone's Crossing. Also have double-digit slowdowns on the southbound side of 270, where emergency vehicles are blocking off the right lane to deal with a crash just before 6440. Those delays will begin to start slowing things up right near Page. Eastbound 44 on the brakes, Elm through Laclede Station. Also some tight spots on the eastbound side of 70 right near 94. Westbound 6440 hung up at Hampton. This traffic report is sponsored by Compassion International. Right now, there's a child living in extreme poverty with no future and no hope, but you can bring hope when you become a Compassion International sponsor. Just text the word child to 83393 and sponsor a child right now. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380, The Answer. Weather.
Mostly cloudy skies today with a high of 54. A little rain this evening, otherwise considerable cloudiness with a low of 46. Cloudy and windy tomorrow with periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high 66. A passing shower tomorrow evening, otherwise partly cloudy, breezy, and mild, the low 57. Windy Thursday with sunshine and patchy clouds, the high 64. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Curtains, shades, blinds, shutters. What are the best for living rooms or bedrooms? Hey, it's Allman from Allman in the Morning. I want to tell you about the quality customized service you will receive when you call my friend Michael Proctor at Proctor Drapery. Michael is an interior designer with exceptional expertise when it comes to window treatments for your home or business. Michael has served our St. Louis area since 1974 with the highest quality and value for custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. He's also the top-tier Hunter Douglas priority dealer and your first choice for Norman Plantation shutters. Those are beautiful. Call Michael Proctor today and schedule your in-home consultation with Michael's mobile design unit. He will come to you. Weekend and evening appointments are available. The one-on-one appointment with Michael will ensure the look is exactly what you're looking for in your home or business. So cut down on the risk of error. Schedule your appointment today with Michael Proctor. Proctor spelled like doctor, proctordrapery.com.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka states the facts the left doesn't want to hear.
Hate to burst your bubble, radical left. Nothing in this report that connects Donald Trump or his campaign to the Russian government during the election campaign. All that we know is that Manafort is a liar, a cheat, and a thief.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Weeknights at 11 on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer. Breaking news, stimulating talk.
This hour of Allman in the Morning is brought to you in part by Dr. Anna Smith. Come see what your smile can be at Dentistry with TLC.
Common Sense Radio with Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me on.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning this morning. Hey, you know, I should play this nice little voice message that we got at the station from a listener to the show. It's really cool. Maxie gave it to me this morning, sent it to me this morning, and it's I didn't really listen to it, but Maxie said it was good.
Oh, hi, this is Elizabeth. I was just calling to say how excited I am about you having Jamie Allman on. Ever since that other bad radio station fired him last year, I've quit listening to them and switched over to your station and discovered Dana and Ed Martin and Larry Elder, and I just love your station now. So the only thing that'll make it better is having Jamie Allman back on. So thank you so much for that, and I'm just looking forward to it. I work from home and do a lot of driving, so I had the radio on pretty much all day, and I used to turn it on 97.1 when Jamie came on in the morning, and then I'd leave it on through, Dave Glover and all of them, and now I got mad and, of course, quit listening after they fired Jamie, and love your station. So thank you again. Bye-bye.
All right, Elizabeth. I think that's what she said at the top. Thank you, and I assume then you're probably listening right now. So it was very nice of you to call, and I really super appreciate that very much. And so I'm glad you're listening to the rest of 1380 105.3 The Answer all throughout the day as well. So that's great for everybody, and we learned a lot of lessons throughout this whole thing, and some of them though were bad ones, but for the most part, we have come out of this, as we always should, with a positive outlook and not a negative one. And so all we do are our best, if you want to call it revenge, it's not really revenge. Our best way of moving on is to move on and be successful and be happy. That's it, and work hard. That's how we love to do it. So Elizabeth, thank you very much for that sweet commentary from you. So Jim Acosta was, speaking of returns, I know this is quite the return you had in mind. Jim Acosta was in the briefing room yesterday, and apparently it's been great because I think the White House made the right decision here. And, oh, by the way, I just want to keep you, I mentioned this earlier this morning. Pompeo just tweeted out that they're withdrawing all remaining personnel from the embassies in Venezuela. So they're clearing out of that joint because it's crumbling fast, and there are some pleas for us to intervene militarily, perhaps through Colombia, whatever. I hope we don't, and we don't have any interest in sending Americans down there, and that's all we need, right? Is to go down to South America? You kidding me? Lord, that we need to avoid that like the plague. And so I'm hoping that that's not going to be what the result is. I'm trusting President Trump, who has before talked about a less interventionist policy, and he's shown that already. So hopefully he's not going to listen to some of these Republicans who never met a skirmish they didn't like. And so we'll see how that whole thing goes. I think there's been a little bit of a murmur here and there from Lindsey Graham about that, wanting to get in there, and I just think it'd be a bad idea. Anyway, I was really great how Sarah Huckabee Sanders and the White House started to limit these press briefings, because what happened is, I think for a while there, they thought that this would be a good thing, that they would be able to have these briefings and the president would be able to talk about policy, or at least through Sanders, and would be able to get their agenda out there in front of the public, and this and this and this. But really what it turned into was just simply a showground for these grandstanding reporters. I don't know whatever happened to that one woman. Who's that chick from the Urban Network or whatever that is? She was annoying, but she hasn't been around very much lately. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that CNN hasn't had her on in the afternoon after her fine performance, so that Don Lemon can lavish praise all over her for her amazing performance in the press room, insinuating somehow that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is racist because Sarah didn't kiss up to her? Aren't you not tired of that? I mean, but it became an everyday thing. So unfortunately what happened is that the briefings became the news themselves, and because these people are so lazy, the journalists are so lazy, they made themselves the news. So that would be the news. The news would be their reporter's confrontation with Sarah Sanders. It didn't matter what it was about, but that was the news of the afternoon. Oh, look, Jim Acosta said this, and then Sarah said that. Oh, look, Urban Network lady said this, and then Sarah Huckabee Sanders said that. Is that racist? Is that demeaning? Is that blah, 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 blah? And it became one of those things. So finally, Sarah and the president were like, we're not doing this anymore. This is ridiculous. Doing this every day. and feeding this beast every day so that the news media can make hay about themselves? And you notice it was brilliant because you notice what happened is, when was the last time you saw Jim Acosta? When was the last time we had a Jim Acosta tape to boil our blood over? That was a pretty good move on the part of the White House. And what's her face? Boy, I can't remember her name. Is anybody mentioning it on Facebook? Can't remember her name. Nobody does. See? And that's a good thing. You don't even know who she is anymore. That's one way to skin a cat, isn't it? Does anybody ever really skin a cat, though? Where'd that come from? And who skinned a cat once?
I think this is the going off script that guy was talking about right there.
Well, yeah.
Does everybody remember the Kellyanne Conway when she took Acosta out? I think that's the last I heard of him. She kind of polished him off.
Right. Right. Yeah. And they stopped having these briefings, and maybe I got the idiom wrong, is the colloquialism wrong. Is it skinning a cat or skin of the dog that bit you? Skin of the hair of the dog that bit you?
That's it. Got it.
Whatever. Skinning a cat. Anyway, you shouldn't be doing that anyway. Whoever did that is wrong. Anyway, so they stopped doing it, and suddenly these people are no longer, they don't exist anymore. The Black Urban Network lady doesn't exist anymore. See how easy that was? Actually, President Obama always said, there's no magic wand. It's like, yeah, there is. All Sarah has to do is wave it, and Jim Acosta disappears, and so does what's-her-face. Anyway, they did finally have it back. They finally did another one this time. I think they were gone 42 days, which is great. Let me see this here. Here's. I mean, if you really want to hear it. You got something there?
To intervene or block AT&T's merger with Time Warner.
I'm not aware of any conversations around that matter.
And just to get back to John and Hallie's question about the president's comments about Democrats and Jewish people, isn't that kind of rhetoric just sort of beneath everybody? And do you think that the president has thought at all going into this 2020 campaign that the rhetoric just needs to be lowered? Whether it's talking about Democrats, the media.
Has Jim Acosta talked to Omar about her rhetoric needing to be lowered, the tone being lowered? They always reserve their scolding for President Trump, but never for the loudmouth, potty-mouthed, dirty-mouthed, anti-Jew-mouthed Omar, Tlaib, and anti-white-mouth people out there. But because Jim Acosta likes to try to get out there and push Sarah around and be the big tough guy, even though I understand he's a White House correspondent, so he wouldn't normally talk to Omar. But you know what I mean. They reserve their harshest criticisms, for Trump. Trump dares to tweet something that doesn't even have any bad tone to it, and suddenly it's like, that's beneath the president. Is that presidential? Is that who we are? I love that one. That's not who we are. It's like, what? I don't ever understand when they that's not who we are. It's like, well, who are we? Because I don't know who we are either. Cabby Jack, what's going on, brother? Line 1. How are you, friend?
Hey, welcome back to St. Louis Radio. It's great to hear your voice again there, Danny.
Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate that. You're valued. I guarantee you. I appreciate you listening. You're a cab driver?
Oh yeah, Cabby, yeah, you betcha.
Yeah, well, this is so Cabby, didn't you call in to the old show before?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate listening to the show.
Hey, you were talking about Rickles. I went down the same rabbit hole with the old Dean Martin roast recently.
Yeah.
The roast of Sammy Davis Jr. is amazing.
Is it not true that they would never get away with this nowadays because everybody, especially when they were roasting Sammy Davis Jr., you'd have to imagine that in
you, I may look old.
Sorry, that was trying to bring up my Don Rickles and Burt Reynolds appearance on the Tonight Show for you, Cabby Jack. But yeah, remember though that everybody is so butthurt over everything that, like, for instance, Sammy Davis Jr. took a lot of guff, and some of the comments were about his race and everything, and they just laughed about it. They joke around about it all the time.
Yeah, it's charming. I mean, it's like you said, there's no bad language. I mean, it's edgy humor, but it's at the same time, it's kind of sweet. It's making fun of everybody and their preoccupation with, what we are preoccupied with now.
Yeah. I mean, and those were the days. And dude, I do get into those. It's called YouTube Pong. So what happens is you start watching one video, or you're looking for one video, and then suddenly you're the next video, like, well, I want to watch this one then on the sidebar there, and then suddenly it's done. Suddenly you're watching all the episodes of Johnny Carson there ever made, and then you're on to the Dean Martin roasts, and it's 4:00 in the morning.
Been there, brother.
Yeah, I know, man. All right, brother. Well, thanks a lot for calling the show, Cabby Jack. Be safe out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, God bless.
You too, buddy. Now I can't find it. I had it up here. It was Don Rickles. Well, any Tonight Show appearance would have been great, but Don Rickles would never have made it past the outrage mob. Let me see, Burt Reynolds. Hang on a second here. I'm gonna actually typing this up. I'll bring it to you on the other side of the break while we wait for Kurt Schlichter to be on as well. And then in the meantime, folks, remember that we have this thing going on in Venezuela, and then we also have our local company, which, as I stated earlier, I'm talking about Boeing. Yesterday, I was very uncomfortable with how the news presented this situation regarding the crash, and there's seemingly pressure from the FAA to ground all these 737s. And of course, that would be a horrible idea, because first of all, most of Southwest Airlines airplanes are these 737s that crashed, and United and American are all flying them as well. And yesterday, without actually any proof or evidence that actually there were indeed mechanical problems, even though there were some issues regarding a couple buttons here and there, but keep in mind, if this were really an issue with the true safety of these airplanes, you'd have these things crashing all over the place, because they're flying all over the place. I said earlier in the morning, I don't know whether some of you can do this, but you go to Flight Tracker or any of these apps, where actually there are apps where you can see all the planes that are up in the sky right now. And believe me, the map is littered with airplanes. Most of them 737s or like Southwest Airlines, just simply going from one city to another, short hops here and there, and they're not crashing. Yesterday, it got so bad in the morning that Boeing stock, and by the way, I do not have any stock in Boeing, and I don't have a financial interest in it. That's not why I'm talking about it. But you've got the Boeing stock went down like 300. It was really bad for a while, but I think it popped back up again. But it seemed like the news media was pushing the FAA to issue an order to ground all 737s. It's like, that's ridiculous. All right, coming up, Kurt Schlichter on the Never Trumpers Who Never Shut Up, and your phone calls. CallTammy.com. Real estate listener line is 844-855-1380. It's all in the morning, and it's Common Sense Radio.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Imagine doing one thing that gives you an entirely different perspective about your place in the world. Think it would be worth it? Dennis Prager here, inviting you to join me for a 10-day Stand With Israel tour, a tour through the land of Israel in December 2019. Come with me to get first-hand insight into Israel's fascinating past and promising future. Walk the ancient temple steps, sail on the Sea of Galilee, and so many more unforgettable moments. Return home inspired, renewed, and empowered. If you've ever dreamed of seeing Israel, this is your opportunity. With expert guides and important lectures at key sites, we'll be together in the comfort and safety of luxurious accommodations the whole time. Join me for a life-changing adventure to give you a renewed sense of purpose.
Join Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher for an unforgettable guided tour through Israel this December 2nd through 11th. Book your trip now at theanswerstl.com.
Hey, folks, let me tell you something about Dr. Anna Smith and Travis, her husband Travis, and the family-run operation known as Dentistry with TLC and CPAP Sucks. Here's the thing. These two have been supporters of mine for a long time, back even on the old radio station. I'm really proud that they are back as supporters of me now. I am more than happy, as a patient of theirs, to report to you that when there's the TLC part of the Dentistry with TLC, it is indeed TLC. Tender loving care and good professional approaches to all of your dental needs. Here's an example. You have some issue where you go there for your teeth whitening or teeth cleaning, and there is a notice of a cavity or something with your gums or whatever. Dr. Anna will take care of it that day, that same day, if you don't mind doing it that same day, so that you don't have to come back. It's just all about convenience. It's all about making it all about you. And so that's a really cool thing. And then on Travis's end, he has the, well, we call it CPAP Sucks. And because actually it does, because basically you're having that bag over your head. It's really difficult to try to sleep in that environment. And so what they do is they have all kinds of dental appliances that can be used to keep your airways open and give you a comfortable night's sleep without having to have that machine running and that basically that bag over your head. By the way, Dr. Smith was the first dentist in the St. Louis area to use fast braces. And so she's basically the first senior master fast braces dentist in the United States. And, you know, it's not easy putting fast braces in, so you kind of got to know what you're doing. And boy, does she know what she's doing, and she is achieved the level of senior master in that. So you can be sure that your fast braces are going to be put in your mouth perfectly and without fail. Also, she has, and I think this is a great idea, a lot of people roll back some of their dental insurance. Companies are doing that these days. So she has or if you have no dental insurance at all, she has a $19 a month plan that includes 2 cleanings a year, with x-rays and a doctor's exam, and 15% off all dental work at Dentistry with TLC. Very easy to get to over there in the beautiful Metro East. Go to dentistrywithtlc.com and cpapsucks.com.
Business owners, self-employed, part-time employees, are you struggling to pay your bills because you no longer can afford your health insurance? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. With Obamacare premiums skyrocketing, higher deductibles, and shrinking networks, let me introduce you to Dryden Camus Insurance Agency as the answer, the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency has non-Obamacare ACA-compliant plans that do not fund abortion. There's no enrollment period, and you don't have to pay for expensive extras like pediatric dentistry or maternity care. Contact Joyce at Dryden Camus Insurance Agency and start saving up to 60%. Call 877-695-0245. That's 877-695-0245, or just go to kddi-ins.com. Cut through the confusion and save money with Dryden Camus Insurance Agency, serving Missouri and Illinois. This is the answer. This is the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency. Just go to kddi-ins.com.
Dennis Prager, this morning at 11. Now, more Common Sense Radio with Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Oh, looky. Paul Ryan, in a speech in Vero Beach is lecturing the president on his re-election chances there in 2020. Paul Ryan said Monday that President Trump could lose the 2020 presidential election if his personality is the central focus of his campaign. Now, of course, that's your typical Paul Ryan Republican who has set up a straw man to make an argument that he doesn't have to make, because President Trump hasn't made his personality the central focus of his campaign. And President Trump is quite possibly one of the most substantive presidents we've had, Republican-wise, since Ronald Reagan. But that doesn't keep Paul Ryan from saying, the president should focus on issues of substance rather than not style, if he wants to beat his Democratic presidential opponent. So what exactly, where does President Trump lack substance, Paul? I mean, if anything, you and Mitt Romney lack substance. President Trump, in the first 2 years of his presidency, has increased blue-collar wages to the point where they're surpassing now white-collar wages in growth. We've got the lowest black unemployment rate in the history of keeping numbers, the lowest Hispanic unemployment rate. We've got a budding GDP. We've got tax cuts that Paul Ryan could never pass. We have foreign policy progress in terms of taming North Korea, even though obviously there are still some loose ends there. We've all but eradicated ISIS. So what substance exactly, Paul, is President Trump lacking here? But still, we got to hear all these Republican scolds running around. He should stop tweeting. It's like, oh, come on. I mean, President Trump could tweet 24/7 right now, and no matter what, and tweet anything. Because what we do as Americans and as voters for President Trump is we look at results. We look at what's happening. We look at what's going on. We look at the world around us. We look at our neighbors prospering. We look at our companies expanding. We look at our tax. And do we have a deficit problem and a debt problem? Yes, exactly. But again, Paul Ryan has no business lecturing President Trump on substance, for crying out loud. And just because you say he needs to focus on substance doesn't mean that he doesn't have substance. It just means you're, once again, being the typical, not never Trumper, but, Trump detractor who is complaining about something that doesn't exist. Ryan's one of those, I like him, but I wish he'd tone down his language. He's doing a good job, but I wish he'd stop tweeting. I wish he'd put down the phone. How tired of that have you been? I think they finally give it up. But that used to be the thing people say. I like him, but I wish he'd put down his phone. It's like, oh, come on. Come up with something else. All right, speaking of never Trumpers, Kurt Schlichter and his amazing, wonderful takedown of the Never Trumper movement, his latest article there in Town Hall. He's going to be joining us in just a sec.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Great Britain, the latest country to order the Boeing 737 MAX 8 jetliner to stay out of its airspace. A growing number of countries are grounding the plane following the second deadly crash involving a MAX 8 in less than 6 months. In coming out against the impeachment of President Trump, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi finds herself at odds with some of her fellow Democrats in Congress. Pelosi says impeachment would be divisive, but some Democrats argue impeachment is inevitable. Not too much of a change in consumer prices last month. They rose by a scant 0.2%. On Wall Street this morning, stocks have turned positive. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up about 14 points. The S&P 500 index better by 12, and the NASDAQ Composite Index currently trading 26 points higher. More details at srnnews.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Emergency crews have blocked off 2 left lanes, allowing only traffic to get by in the right lane on the eastbound side of 44. Around a crash just before 109. Heavy delays begin back at Six Flags. But some good news as crews picked up the earlier accident eastbound 6440 before Timberlake Manor. Still have brake lights on back through the Spirit of St. Louis Boulevard. Northbound 270 jamming up Gravois to Manchester. Southbound 170 a bit slow between Brentwood and 6440. Westbound 6440 on the Breaks Kings Highway through the Cleat Station with some minor delays on the eastbound side beginning right near 170. This traffic report is sponsored by Compassion International. It's easier to change the world than you think. Sponsor a child in extreme poverty with Compassion International and you'll change the world for that child. Just text the word child to 83393 to sponsor right now. I'm Dominic Fortini with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
Mostly cloudy skies today with a high of 54. A little rain this evening, otherwise considerable cloudiness with a low of 46. Cloudy and windy tomorrow with periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high 66. A passing shower tomorrow evening, otherwise partly cloudy, breezy, and mild, the low 57. Windy Thursday with sunshine and patchy clouds, the high 64. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Dennis Prager points out the truth.
We are told that the left is pro-science and the right is anti-science because we don't believe that we should bankrupt Western civilization because the world will come to an end in 12 years. We are going about it the wrong way, that everything we'll do bankrupting the West will change the temperature perhaps a half a degree. Perhaps.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekday mornings at 11 on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Breaking news. Stimulating talk.
I regularly hear stories of companies cutting the commissions of their outside salespeople. Has that happened to you? Or maybe you've had accounts taken from you and given to another salesperson to level the playing field. I've never understood those who penalize top sellers when they've become too successful. If you're a good salesperson, especially if you're in media sales, then I want to talk to you. I'm Lori Vernier, local sales manager for Salem STL Radio. I believe in the work I'm doing, but more importantly, this company believes in its people. Last year, Salem Media Group, our parent company, was voted one of the national best and brightest companies to work for. And for the past 2 years, we were voted a great place to work by our employees. If you'd like to join my sales team, drop me an email at jobs@salemstl.com. That's jobs@salemstl.com.
The station is owned and operated by Salem Media Group and is an equal opportunity employer.
This hour of Allman in the Morning is brought to you in part by Dr. Anna Smith, the #1 provider of oral sleep appliances in the United States. Learn more at cpapsucks.com.
Listen to Allman in the Morning with Alexa. Wake up and say, Alexa, play The Answer St. Louis. Now, back to Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Good morning this morning. Happy Tuesday to all of you. This is Allman in the Morning as Common Sense Radio. I want to get to Linda really quickly, and then Kurt is on the line, so it's going to be great. Linda, hi there. Welcome to the show.
Oh, my God. Jamie, I'm so excited. I just found out you were back on the radio. My husband just told me. I'm like, oh, my God, the light has come back into our lives. All my coworkers, my family, my friends. Oh, my God, you were the voice going through the election when all of us thought Trump didn't have a chance, and we all got through it. And now we're on the road back to it again, and we're going to win it again. And, oh, my God, you and Mark Levin are my heroes. I love you. I'm so glad you're back on the radio. Yay!
Linda, that is a sweet phone call, and thank you so much. It's a real privilege to be back, and I thank you for your support. Yeah.
Oh, you got it 100%, Jamie, and keep up the good work, and don't be afraid to speak up and say the truth like you've always done. And if those morons can't take it, then tell them to go to, CNN and LSD, MSN, and all those other corrupt stations. We love you. Thank you for coming back.
Oh, you're welcome, Linda. Thank you very much. You're the best. LSD. That's funny. I love it. That should be a network. Sometimes I think it is. Linda, you're sweet. Thank you so much. I appreciate it very much. All right, so I've been waiting to talk to this guy for a long time. I actually, at one point, I just reading his stuff. I read it over and over again because he is not only a great mind, but he is a gifted writer and a funny one at that. And he's also a pretty good talker, so much so that Don Lemon once had to cut his mic, which I love. I'll play that for you in just a little bit. But in the meantime, Kurt Schlichter, how you doing, my friend?
Oh, great, Jamie. Give me all this buildup. I'm sitting here in Los Angeles, praying for death with this head cold. So I'm sure I'll be a barrel of freaking laughs.
Well, listen, man, I understand that, and I'd love to have you on more regularly too, because just love reading what your commentaries, and you're so precise, and your surgical strikes are awesome, and your latest piece. At least I think it's your latest piece. The one I just read the other day, which I wanted to get you on the air about, is why the Never Trumpers will never shut up. And you went into a whole litany about this.
Being sick. Oh my God! The Never ahoy, you cruise shilling weasels! These guys, what a bunch of losers. Jamie, I'm an Army guy. I really hate traitors. I don't mind somebody saying, well, Trump's got a lot of problems. Trump does have a lot of problems. I don't care. That's fine. That's an observation. But some guy who allies himself with the Democrats, who starts saying things like, well, the Green New Deal doesn't seem like a bad idea. Oh, reparations, that seems smart. Okay, that's not a conservative. That is a collaborator. And it makes me think of the GIMP scene in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now, here's the thing, though, and I want everybody to know that the reason why also Kurt has so much credibility in this realm is because you know what, you were the jury was out with you, as it was with a lot of people on President Trump. I was a little more of a fanboy than most other people out there, but I understood the people who had questions about him and that kind of thing, and yet at the same time, President Trump and how he wound up comporting himself as president, everything else, wound up really impressing you. So that's where you're coming from. Is it you came from a place where jury was out, but you were convinced that this is the right move?
I was never Trump.
Right.
Because A, I've kissed a girl, so I can qualify. And B, I was never Jeb, I was never Hillary. And you can't have that many nevers in your life or you become ineffective. At the end of the day, the Republican voters picked Donald Trump. I'm a Republican. I'm a team player. I had my, I was a Ted Cruz guy. I had my say. I lost fair and square.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I get back on the bus. But the thing is, Donald Trump kept saying things I liked, but I didn't believe he was going to do them. I mean, all I knew about Donald Trump was, I read in Spy magazine. I knew he was on TV, and I knew he had kind of a wild lifestyle. I knew he'd been a Democrat. And, I was used to being betrayed by Republicans. So, naturally, I thought, okay, this guy's going to come in. He's going to shill for the leftists. Because remember, we played this game.
Yeah.
I had Schwarzenegger out here. I will be very conservative, and no, he wasn't.
Right.
And then Donald Trump comes in and does this thing that I had never imagined from a Republican. He actually does what he said he was going to do.
Right. Right.
It was amazing.
Yeah, and but one thing you point out in your article, though, is one thing is for sure, you were a never Jeb, which a lot.
I can't stand that silliest puffball, that soft boy, that low energy little wimp. Jeez, he's everything I despise about the Republican establishment. Well, immigration is an act of love. Yeah, back to the Pulp Fiction analogy. That's kind of an act of love. Conservatives need to stop being Ving Rhames and start being Bruce Willis.
Right. I'm with you, man. Now, you expose something, because here's what's confusing to me is that even in conservative media, they didn't really expose the goings on of the Bulwark and of Charlie Sykes and you. I mean, I'm always on these sites, and but for some reason, these people weren't called out for what they did, and that is, send pro-choice, militant, left-wing abortionist up there to cover CPAC for the Bulwark. What's going on here?
Yeah, eventually they got out of denial. Now, you got to understand, you live in the center of the country, right? You live in America. I'm like a mile from the beach in Los Angeles. I don't. Class solidarity overcomes ideological labels every single time. And what I mean is they will always choose the people around them at the Whole Foods and the Fern Bar over the ideology that means supporting the people listening to this show. They will always choose their pals over you every single time. You can assume that. Statistically, sometimes they won't. But it's a safe bet. It's like if the dealer's showing an ace and you come up with a 16 at blackjack, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Accept it. So you've got to understand that these guys are going to do that. And it's hard for them to see that their buddy Charlie Sykes or their buddy Jonathan Last or Bill Kristol is really a traitor. I mean, yesterday, one of these globs of human pus, a guy named Jim Swift, who's kind of like the janitor of the Bulwark, he says, Tucker Carlson is not the hill to die on. Now, leaving aside that this guy has never climbed a hill in his life unless there were muffins at the top, and that he's using an analogy that, men who've actually been in the Army use, and that's inappropriate for that reason, too. It's so pathetic. These guys, one of our own is under attack by leftists. What is your response? My response is, let's pull a knife and jump in. Let's rock. You're fighting my buddy, it's down. Their response, immediately side with the enemy. And people have just seen that. And that is a huge reason Trump won. Because for 30 years, what the hell did these losers conserve? They said they were conservative. What did they conserve? They were concerned with managing failure efficiently. I don't want to fail. I want to win. We win, they lose. That's how it goes. How about that? And that's what Trump said. That's why I got our votes.
Yeah. And they're concerned about selling their books because if they didn't have somebody they could constantly.
Oh, hey, I'm all for selling books.
Right.
It's just their books are crap.
Well, what I'm saying is
Mine are freaking awesome.
Militant Normals, man. That's an awesome one. I know. And if
that's
you
awful. My novels are great too, man. There's violence. There's making fun of liberals. Go get Wildfire. Everybody, go buy my book.
Yeah, Indian Country.
Have a cruise too.
Yeah,
Indian Country's a good one.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, these
and the liberals hate. Oh, and these Bulwark guys hate them.
Yeah, right.
Your novels, you're such a ruffian.
But these guys, what I mean about books is a lot of them felt like I guarantee you they would rather have Hillary in office than Trump because then they could make themselves more relevant and sling their hash. And
it helps the scam.
Yeah,
it helps the scam. It fills out the conservative cruise. So you can hang on the Lido deck and maybe you can meet Bill Kristol. Ooh,
yeah,
isn't that exciting? Sipping Zima. These guys. Look, it was all a scam. Conservative Incorporated, this combination of these think tanks, the Liberty Coalition for Liberty and Eagles and Families and Values and Eagles, and these cruises and these magazines that nobody reads, and these and they're on little panels with each other.
Yeah,
it's disgraceful. It was a scam. It was a giant grift. It was a ripoff. And then suddenly Trump comes along and he kicks us over. Right? He kicks over these money changers' tables, and they're furious because he cleared the deal.
Yeah.
He screwed it up for them.
Yeah.
They're exposed, and they're furious. Now they might have to get jobs.
I love it how you call it conservative ink. That's a perfect description of what's going on. And you were trying to figure out towards the end of your piece, which is, again, awesome. You were trying to figure out, like, what could possibly be, though, the mindset in terms of trying to then go to CPAC and try to destroy conservatives. And you came to the conclusion that it was one of these things where it's almost like they would rather have nothing than have it the way they don't want it.
Yeah, they would. first of all, you got to understand, they hate us for rejecting them. Look, all life is high school, right? And these are the student council nerds who everybody else finally said, these guys are ripping us off and their dances stink.
Yeah.
Let's all get together and vote them out. And then they get voted out, and then they go and collaborate with the administration, to like ban rock and roll,
Right.
These guys.
Yeah.
It's like they're like the guys helping out John Lithgow in Footloose.
Right. Yeah. So if this is Kurt Schlichter sick, I can't wait to have Kurt Schlichter well, because, dude, I mean,
How about Kurt Schlichter not FCC compliant?
Oh well, I guess in other venues where I was doing the stream and things like that would be fine. But now suddenly I'm with Salem now, and well, you work at townhall.com, where he's a political columnist and a commentator there, so his pieces are always popping up on there. But buddy, I've been a longtime fan of yours, and just your articles are just outstanding. Your writing is brilliant. I don't know how did that develop?
Not bad for an infantryman, huh?
Yeah, not bad at all, buddy.
Yeah, me and my fancy book learning.
That's awesome. So now you've got you have militant normals, you've got Indian country. What are some of the other ones?
People's Republic and Wildfire. Those are my three novels, and they're fun. They're fun. There's something Conservative Incorporated hates. They're fun, and they have a conservative message, even as the heroes blowing stuff up.
Wow.
And Militant Normals is nonfiction, and that was a big publishing house and everything. And I was like, that's all fun. But I got to do exactly what I wanted to do. And it's like an hour and a half listening to me. Well, I don't know. Actually, it's like 5 hours for the audiobook.
Yeah.
So it's fun. Fun. God, I hate that's what I hate about a lot of conservatives with their stupid bow ties and their stupid inability to get dates. They're just boring and lame people, and they want us to be boring and lame. And you know what? I'm not going to be. I'm going to do everything I want to do all the time, and these South boys can't stop me.
Yeah, well, I always, the people you're describing, I describe Mitt Romney that way because I remember the infamous meeting he had with President Trump, where Trump orders the soup and Romney orders the walnut cranberry salad with dressing on the side. And at that point, I knew Trump was never going to get him as Secretary of State. He was testing him, and Romney failed.
Romney should have said, I'll take the ribeye. You got bone in? Why don't you have bone in? And then Trump would have gone, yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Romney can't do that. Well, Romney is a freaking librarian telling you to use your inside voice.
Yeah, I know. I totally get it. So have you been back on CNN after Don Lemon cut your mic?
No. Which is great because it's in Hollywood, which means it's like an hour and a half hike up there and back. And I don't care. I'm on Fox all the time. Heck, I hosted for Hugh Hewitt all week a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I get plenty of media. I don't need these hacks. But, I'm on with Lemon, right? Here's how it goes. I'm sitting in my office. It's December 22nd, 2015. I'm a partner in a law firm. I'm sitting there, and I get this call. Hey, can you jump on real quick to do a CNN hit? And I've been Trump skeptical for a while. And, I would come on and I would say, here are my problems with Trump. And it was all legit. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But I was thinking there are some things okay about Trump. So I'm like, yeah, fine. So I go grab it, because I dress like a hobo in the office. I go grab a suit and a jacket and a tie that's hanging in my office, and I sit down. I do it on Skype, right? And it comes up Don Lemon, and I thought it was going to be somebody else. Like, whatever. And Lemon comes on, he's like, did you hear? This is the greatest atrocity in human history since the Armenian genocide. Trump said that Hillary, while running against Barack Obama, got schlonged. And I was like, what? They said this I can't. I can barely speak the words, but Trump actually said she got schlonged. What do you think of that? And I was like, I don't care. What? I'm like, I don't care. And we go back and forth. It gets more intense. And I said, look, she's a sexual abuse enabler. You know, why would I care that she uses a very minor use vulgarity? You know? And we go back and forth, and it heats up a bit. And finally he tells me, you can't say that. And I was like, Don, you're telling me what I can and can't say. That's not going to work. And he cuts my mic. And I think the link's gone down, right? I'm thinking, oh, it's Skype, yeah. And the producer comes on and goes, thank you very much, click. And you know how producers are. They get you on. You were great. I love you.
Yeah, right.
You're the greatest thing in the world. This was you're clear. Goodbye, click. Like, that was unusual. And I'm still thinking that we just got unhooked. And suddenly my phone detonates, right? I'm getting texts. I'm getting emails. I'm getting tweets. I'm like, what the? I got cut off? So I get like a couple thousand new followers. And I'm on every other media outlet for like 3 days.
Right.
It was hilarious. And I don't have to drive up, and I don't have to be on CNN. Advantage Kurt.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny too because, you know, I think but do you think they had you on thinking you were going to attack President Trump, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. And look, if it was somebody said that I didn't agree, I would have.
Yeah, right.
I was Trump skeptical.
Yeah.
But he said she got schlonged. What am I supposed to do with that?
I love it.
You know? Oh, well, I never. Thank you.
Yeah, you fanning yourself. Here, listen to this. Here's how it went.
Don't bring your husband's actions into it.
Absolutely. It was given the choice between standing with a serial sexual abuser
All right,
with
Kurt.
women who are being
Stop.
Yeah, I mean, and so then they cut his mic off, and it's great. So I'll find the link. I'll put it up on the website for you all to see it. But Kurt, would love to have you back, man. You got to be, listen, all that beautiful weather out there, and you've got a cold, man. I'm sorry about that, but hey,
dude, and I got to go do court stuff later today, and it's just going to be a disaster. The jury's not going to be listening to me. They're going to be like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? What are you talking to his nose?
All right, brother. Well, listen, we'll be in touch. Hopefully you can come back on. I'd love to have you on a more regular basis, but we will continue reading your awesome stuff and watching you on Fox. And actually, too, we've been covering this Tucker Carlson thing, and I'm so glad he's standing up to this left-wing mob right now. I mean, seriously.
All you got to do is punch them. Jamie, all you got to do is they've got a glass jaw.
Yeah.
Just punch them.
Yeah. I know CNN has not stopped covering the Tucker Carlson story all morning long, and that's because, of course, Tucker kicks their butts all day.
I guess all the people who watch CNN and like Tucker are going to quit Tucker now.
Right, exactly. No doubt.
These weird Sybil-like schizophrenics going, I like CNN, and my other personality likes Fox.
Right on. Hey, Kurt, be well, buddy, and thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. Take care. It's Kurt Schlichter, SCHLICHTER, and you can follow him on Twitter. And Phil, is it Kurt Schlichter on Twitter? I think I'm on Twitter with him. Yeah, I think yeah. So hopefully we can have him on a regular basis. But he was good. If that again, as I point out, if that's Kurt Schlichter sick, then I can't wait to have him on well because he's outstanding. It's Allman in the Morning. It's Common Sense Radio.
Live from the Arrowhead Building Supply Studio, this is Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
First Mortgages. Impact Mortgage Group. DBA Cash Call Mortgage. 19500 Jamboree Road, Irvine, California 92612. NMLS 128231. Equal housing lender not licensed in all states including New York. Call 855-657-9910 for licensing terms and restrictions.
Okay, here's the deal. You're a freelancer, a hired hand, a self-made, self-owned business of one. Whether you're a contractor, creative director, or consultant, you're the boss. And that makes things easy. Unless, of course, you're trying to get a mortgage. When it comes to qualifying for a cash-out refi, gig economy workers come with more obstacles, more complexities, and more stress, right? Wrong. Dial 800-815-0745, and one of our cash-out mortgage specialists will help you qualify for the lowest interest loan possible. regardless of your source of income. It's the easiest call you'll make all day. Dial 800-815-0745. That's 800-815-0745. Make the cash call today. That's 800-815-0745.
KXFN St. Louis, K287BY St. Louis.
Ladies and gents, let me tell you about Michael's Flooring Outlet and what Michael has to offer you. All different kinds of great products when it comes to your flooring needs. And this week, I've been primarily focused on that wood product that looks like wood product, which is really cool because a lot of people want wood in their homes and love the look of wood, for instance, even in their kitchen, for instance, the broadboard wood, maybe a country kitchen look, but they don't do it because wood is hard to maintain. You've got dogs peeing on it, you've got people spilling milk on it and all that kind of thing, and it just is a hard thing for you to dropping things on it, you're nicking it, but with this wood product that Michael has, it is absolutely maintenance free. It is hard as a rock, and it's never going to stain, never going to nick. Nothing's going to happen bad to this floor, and that's just another example of the kind of products that Michael's Flooring Outlet has for you. And installation will be perfect because Michael chooses only the best installers, the ones who know his products backwards and forwards. So he's got the laminates, he's got the ceramic tiling, he's got, of course, that wood flooring. He also has the real wood as well. He did that up in my 100-year-old home, plus home, when I needed to do an entirely new floor on my second floor. He stepped up and helped me out with that and did a great job matching that with the 100-year-old floor below, so, and on the first floor. So it's pretty amazing what he does and very passionate. Started the company some 25 years ago with $700 in his pocket, and look where he is now. It's been fantastic with 4 locations all throughout the St. Louis area, and I want to make sure you also test him. He likes this. You go to Google and Google Michael's Flooring Outlet for the reviews, and you'll see that he, out of a rating of 5, he's got a 4.9, which is amazing, and there are a lot of reviews on there. So take my word for it and take his word for it. Michael's Flooring Outlet is the place to go. Check it out on the web. It's michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
Imagine doing one thing that gives you an entirely different perspective about your place in the world. Think it would be worth it? Dennis Prager here, inviting you to join me for a 10-day Stand with Israel tour, a tour through the land of Israel in December 2019. Come with me to get firsthand insight into Israel's fascinating past and promising future. Walk the ancient temple steps, sail on the Sea of Galilee, and so many more unforgettable moments. Return home inspired, renewed, and empowered. If you've ever dreamed of seeing Israel, this is your opportunity. With expert guides and important lectures at key sites, we'll be together in the comfort and safety of luxurious accommodations the whole time. Join me for a life-changing adventure to give you a renewed sense of purpose.
Join Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher for an unforgettable guided tour through Israel this December 2nd through 11th. Book your trip now at theanswerstl.com.
Rick Pogue here with Arrowhead Building Supply, the region's #1 specialty exterior building supplier. Arrowhead has the widest range of exterior products, from the most economical and commodity items to our highest-end outside elegance collection. If you need a contractor, Arrowhead supplies products to hundreds of the best contractors and builders in the business. Call us for a contractor referral and rest easy. The Arrowhead Cube Home Visualizer tool means you can upload an actual photo of your home and change it with just a touch of your finger. Now you can be 100% confident in your selections before they are installed in your home. Our product showrooms are the largest and most beautiful in the industry. We make it simple to experience a full range of siding, roofing, window, door, deck, and even stone options for your home or business. Check us out at arrowheadbuildingsupply.com or visit an Arrowhead showroom near you today in St. Peters, Missouri, Pee Wee, Missouri, and Fairview Heights, Illinois. Arrowhead Building Supply. Building supplies for building success. arrowheadbuildingsupply.com.
Hall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. You can add Great Britain to the growing list of countries banning the Boeing 737 MAX 8 jetliner from its airspace. The move follows Sunday's deadly Ethiopia jetliner crash